Hey, everybody. You're listening to the Total Basis podcast. I'm your host for the evening, Felipe doing the annual Total Basis podcast Fantasy Baseball League draft recap. We got a lot to cover tonight, doing it for the people out there who've been asking for the recap for the league. So I will oblige and get this show underway as those are the draft results. Trying to do something different this year instead of going since I'm flying solo today and instead of doing every single pick because there's 30 rounds. Uh yeah, this is yeah, as much as I love to talk about baseball, it's just 30 rounds of me talking about the same players I've been talking about this whole time and not having somebody else to have a different point of view than mine. I think I might do something different. I might just do the first 4, 5 rounds or thereabouts and then kind of spread out and focus on certain teams from here on out. But just to introduce everybody, this is the Total Basis Podcast League. It is a 12 by 12 semi-weekly head-to-head categories league. So there's 12 hitting categories, 12 pitching categories. Uh, it's wild, it's crazy, but the people love it. They haven't asked me to change it, probably because I would well, probably because they know I'm not open to change. But the last couple of years, I've been asking for feedback and I've been asking for more input from everybody else uh, yeah, it's been a good working relationship between me, the commissioner, and the rest of the class. And this goes double for the Baseball Life league as well. Similar, very similar scoring format, slight variations. But for this one, it's supposed to be a redraft league with the one caveat that is, as long as a player has not gotten more than 130 at bats and has not received more than 50 innings pitched, that those players can be kept in protected minor league slots from year to year to year until they get called up from the minors or they meet that threshold. So let's say I don't know. I'm looking at the list here. Let's just pretend Wyatt Langford of the Texas Rangers. Let's say that he gets called up in September, but only gets to 50 at bats. Even though he did get called up next spring, when it's time to set quote unquote keepers, Wyatt Langford can be kept as a player in terms of being protected in that minor league slot. So it's a mixed best of both worlds situations. Not quite a dynasty league, not quite a keeper league. We definitely want to keep the redraft league spirit going, as that seems to be like everybody's favorite part of these things anyway. Is the redraft league? Is the redraft the chance to start over every season with new players? But I still wanted to do like a little bit of a challenge and have folks have that option to keep minor league players who qualify there. And I see Noah Miller has joined the call. Noah, how are you this evening? You're on mute, in case you didn't know.
I'm good. How are you?
I am doing well, my friend. Glad that you can hop in and join in. Like I was telling the class, I might do something different this year instead of going through all 30 rounds. I might just do the first four just to introduce the teams and the players that are participating this year. And hell, maybe we'll start with your team and just focus on it for a little bit. So let's get this show on the road. Team George Costanza. That is our friend Alex Robertson from, I believe he's from Richmond, Virginia. Correct me if I'm wrong. And he's a big Baltimore Orioles fan, so naturally he picks with the number one pick, Shohei Ohtani. Noah, I gotta ask, were you shocked when Alex made this pick?
No, not really. That's he's basically even though I feel like his production might drop a little bit this season, I still feel like he's the one-on-one consensus pick.
Yeah, it's a pretty slam dunk, even with all the question marks surrounding him. We talked about it on the podcast in the last episode with James, who you may know from the other baseball league the other fantasy baseball league that you're in over at Baseball Life, the Baseball Life Fantasy League. So, and we talked about it, and yeah, there's a lot of concern but it's still not enough to dissuade people, me included. If I have the number one pick, I think I would go with Shohei Ohtani or maybe Bobby Witt Jr. I haven't decided yet. But anyway, let's move on. Tyler from Richmond, Virginia, but instead of an Orioles fan, he's a Phillies fan. That's why he's the fighting fanatic, I guess. Is that the name? I made this too big.
Yeah.
Okay. He picks the former Yankees outfielder, current Yankees outfielder Aaron Judge, which means that Carlos, the Mets fan from Florida, he picks Juan Soto, which I'm glad that you're here because I might have missed something, but there was discussion happening right as he was picking Juan Soto. Am I remembering this correctly, or did I miss something? Or I know that there was I know Ivan got involved, who's picking 12th in this one, but he got. Do you remember much of that back and forth between those two guys?
No, I don't think so.
Because I
I
remember
don't remember a lot.
Carlos saying that he was shocked that Juan Soto was still around and that he was expecting Bobby Witt Jr. to pick number two, but he picks Juan Soto anyway. It's a clear homer pick. It's a clear homer. Yeah, it's probably the right homer pick to make, but still a homer pick nonetheless, I think. But I don't know. You tell me, Noah, Juan Soto or Bobby Witt Jr. in this format, who would you have
I
gone with?
mean, it's obviously not a huge stretch to grab Soto because he's an obvious first rounder, but I probably would have went with Bobby Witt Jr. there.
Yeah,
But then again, if I was a Mets fan, I probably would have gone with Soto myself.
yeah. I just like that Carlos picks after he sees Aaron Judge go, he picks, Aaron Judge, the current Yankees player. Juan Soto decides to, I mean, Carlos decides to pick the former Yankees outfielder, Juan Soto, who's now a Mets outfielder. And keep that in mind. That's going to be a theme as we go on. Billy the Kid's Heater I think that's the full name of the Angels team. Unfortunately, Fantrax is not, even when I hover over the name, it's not letting me see and double check what the name of the team is. But he goes with Jose Ramirez. And of course, Angel is a big Tampa Bay Rays fan from Utah. So he goes with the surefire thing, Jose Ramirez. And I'll tell you what, I know if if Carlos Team Blue Magic, that's his team name, but if Team Carlos Blue Magic decides to go with Bobby Witt Jr., I was contemplating Jose Ramirez or Ellie De La Cruz in that spot. So I'm actually very happy that I was able to get uh, Bobby Witt Jr. with the fourth pick overall. And my team name is called the Razor Ramones, Chico. Speaking of Chico, here's the Baseball Cosmos, the other guy who has his own podcast. Go check him out, the Baseball Cosmos. Melvin from Nashville. He's a big Cubs fan, like present company included. I'm wearing my Cubs beanie. Noah is also a Cubs fan. He's out there as well. He goes Paul Skeens with the first pitcher taken right off the bat in the sixth with the sixth pick overall. Noah, you tell me, man. And a lot of the mock drafts I was doing, Paul Skeens was going on in the later stages of the first round, maybe borderline second round pick. Melvin gets him in the sixth round pick, wasting no time, no effort. He wants him. That's his guy. Did you think he reached a little bit? Is it too early to pick a pitcher in a format like this? What do you think?
I don't think it's necessarily too early, but I think especially with his potential,
Yeah,
maybe it's a little early considering you don't really know how he's going to be used as the Pirates if they're going to limit his innings or not. But if we knew what his workload would look like, then and it was pretty big, like he'd get 180 innings plus, and it's not too bad of a pick. So I guess we'll see by the end of the season.
because I've been arguing this whole time that Tariq Skubal would be my number one and Paul Skeens would be my number two. Really, it's one A,
Yeah.
one B. But if I had to choose one over the other, it's Tariq Skubal. Do you see it the same way, or if gun to your head, you got to pick one? Who do you pick for the rest of the season?
Yeah, I think Scooball, I think his workload will be more volume in it.
And plus, he's playing on a competitive team. The Tigers are supposed to do some big things this year. Situation is right. The ballpark is right. Comerica
Yep.
Park is still a big ballpark. Anyway, moving on to Matt Nyland. Matthew is from Minnesota, and he's a big Twins fan. He goes with Ellie De La Cruz. Here comes the Cub fan from Las Vegas, Noah Miller. It's 12 p.m. somewhere. Inside joke there, but he goes with Cubs outfielder Kyle Tucker. Um, did you consider anyone else besides a Cubs player here?
I think the other player I was considering was Mookie Betts. I was there,
Okay.
but I figured Tucker was there, and a lot of my other leagues I'm in have a bunch of Cubs fans in it, so I figured I'd jump on Tucker because he was like right there underneath Mookie Betts.
Okay. Well,
So I wasn't didn't feel like I was reaching too far for him.
all right. Sounds like
He's
yeah.
in
I
a
mean,
contract year too, so I feel like
yeah.
he's gonna ball out.
New team. He's the de facto best player on that club, easily. And like you said, he's motivated. Um, yeah. So we'll see how it goes. Hopefully, I mean, I'm still a Cubs fan at heart. Even though I take I try to be as objective as possible. As a Cubs fan, I'm hoping he has a monster year myself, and the Cubs would have to pay top dollar to keep him around. Grain Allen, who is Robert Edmondson, he's the commissioner of the Mardi Gras Madness League. You guys might have heard me talk about that league before, but he's a big Astros fan from the Texas Triangle. He goes with Gunnar Henderson, and I believe Gunnar Henderson is one of his keepers in said Mardi Gras Madness League. So that's going to be a theme with him as well. He's going to pick a lot of players from uh, the Mardi Gras Madness League, and I should probably get that going just in case, just to check out his team. So there's the Mardi Gras Madness League over at CBS. I know that with it caused some controversy there. Oh, okay, so I don't have access to last year's team, but I could still pull it off of memory. But at the very least, I can check out his team this year. I believe it's this one. Yeah, I don't know why it grays out like that. And of course, it goes back to my team. Oh, there. Really? We're off to a rolling start here. It goes back to my team as well. Yeah, I don't know why it does that. But anyway, let's try one more time. If not, I just give up. There it is. Castroville Crushers. There's Gunnar Henderson, Jackson Merrill, Jason Dominguez, and Zach Wheeler. And he's going to give Forrest Whitley one more chance at the minor league slot. So Gunnar Henderson, Zach Wheeler. And those are his players here. Gunnar Henderson, Zach Wheeler. So that's his team. He's gonna go with the players that he's familiar with from the points league. So it's gonna be interesting. I'm gonna keep an eye on this guy because he said he hasn't played in a roto style league or a categories league in a long time. I've only known him to do points league, so head to head points league, I should say. So interesting to see how he adapts to this one. Bob, next from Indiana, White Sox fan. He goes with Corbin Carroll, the safest first round pick that you can make on the back end of the first round. So pretty good from him. We talked about him already, but here is Terry Screwball. He goes to our friend Raheel, the Cardinals fan. He is team Say Drake. I heard you like to pick in the first round. And then Ivan finishes up the first round and starts the second round with both. You just mentioned it, Mookie Betts and Yordan Alvarez, two very solid, good outfielders. You can't go wrong with either of those two. Very well established. Raheel comes back and pairs up Sariq Skubal with Francisco Lindor. Bob goes with Freddie Freeman. And I mentioned him already. Robert from Texas goes emulates and mirrors the Mardi Gras Madness team that he has with Zach Wheeler in the second round. You went with Ketel Marte, not a Cubs player. Um, wow, I'm shocked. Where did I have Ketel Marte on the other screen here? Just checking to see what my second base rankings are. And okay, he's number one. Okay, I thought I maybe had Ozzy Albies, but Ketel Marte is my number one second baseman. What's the matter? You didn't trust the other second baseman available? What's up with that?
Well, you said the other one was Albies.
Altuve number two, Albies was number three, Jordan Westbrook, Marcus Semien, but you went with the number one second baseman on my board as well.
I like what I saw from last year, and from what I've read on other second basemen, it seems like they're a bit in a little bit of a decline
Mm,
offensively. Like some of them are getting older, but like and then Albies, I think he's coming off an injury, and
yes.
I think we've seen his numbers decline a little bit as well.
Very he fluctuates a lot. I will say that.
Yeah.
But as far as a surefire home run stolen base candidate, I would definitely go after Albies. Marte looks like he's giving up on the stolen bases and concentrating on power. But I mean, I have him number one for a reason, and I'm pretty sure he's like the consensus number one second baseman. Um, but it looks like you picked him ahead of guys like Jackson Churio, Vladimir Guerrero, Julio Rodriguez, Fernando Tatis, and guys like that. So you are basically saying that Ketel Marte's production is going to be equal, if not better, than the other guys I just named. I'm guessing that's what your thought process was there.
A little bit. Also, other thought process was I was thinking that second base isn't that deep of a position, so I felt like I'd want to get the best player I can get there since
I
it's
have
kind of a weaker position.
I have to agree with you there. I know when Angel was on the podcast a couple of episodes ago, I said that if you're not picking a top five second baseman, there's this like gargantuan dead zone of second baseman that nobody wants. And you're better off just waiting until the last one is available because they're pretty much the same player. Luis Garcia, you can make a case that Luis Arias might be a little bit different, but the lack of stolen bases kind of puts him in a hesitant position, so to speak. Andres Jimenez, who actually steals bases but doesn't do much of anything else. Gleyber Torres has red flags. Xander Bogaerts has red flags. Nico Horner is hurt. Bryson Stott, he might be the most underrated second baseman. But you could wait on him. And second base is so weak that Luis Rengifo actually moves up in rankings. He's at my number 13th best second baseman behind the guys I just mentioned. So, yeah, a lot of question marks in that position. That's why I call it the dead zone there. But we move on.
Yeah,
Jack,
and
go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
wanted to add one more thing. You had mentioned all the players that I had skipped over for Marte. You named all outfielders. I feel like
Mm.
outfield is a little more stacked compared to other positions.
Yeah. What was I saying? I have mixed feelings about that because I tried doing that last year and it burned me in both of our leagues, both of the Baseball Life League and the Total Bases Podcast League, where I did wait a little bit for outfield and I feel like that kind of bit me in the end. And I wanted to make sure that I at least get some really good power speed combination young outfielders this year. So I feel like the other positions on the other hand were much deeper, but we'll see. We'll see what our teams look like at the end of this whole thing and we'll let the class decide who had the better strategy coming out of it. As mentioned, Jackson Churio going to Matt's team. He pairs him up with Ellie De La Cruz. Melvin gets his first baseman in Vladimir Guerrero. Angel gets Julio Rodriguez, and I'm just looking around thinking, you guys are really going to let me get Fernando Tatis Jr., who, as we talked about on this podcast and in the chat, red flags galore, but you cannot deny the power speed combination there. Uh, Obviously, you went with Ketel Marte, but I don't know what what uh, what made you hesitate to even consider Fernando Tatis Jr. in the second round.
I think just you don't know how much availability he will have
Mhm.
throughout the season.
Yeah.
I know Ketel Marte had a little bit of injury, I think last year, but I feel like every year Tatis is missing a handful of games or more.
Yeah, yeah, and it's really just being dumb is his biggest kryptonite, for lack of a better term. It's just, but hopefully he's a year older. Hopefully he's a bit more mature. He's gonna be kind enough to be a leader in that Padres clubhouse. God save us. But in the meantime, I like the production. I like the projections, and that's why I had him as my seventh best outfielder coming into this draft. So, anyway, I do the Padres outfielder. Carlos gets the Red Sox outfielder. Same kind of situation, power speed combo guy. And if I don't pick Fernando Tatis Jr., I was definitely considering Bryce Harper, who I've never had on any of my teams. I figured this year would be the one time I do it, and I couldn't pull the trigger, but the Phillies fan did, so he goes after Bryce Harper. And Alex, I see your Bryce Harper on the Phillies, and I raise you Trey Turner on the Phillies. That's his shortstop. This is probably going to be one of those few times where I don't get a share of Trey Turner in any of my leagues, and I'm okay with that. And of course, Alex, the nightmare of the disaster that was last year, I think you might remember that. Corbin Burns, who Alex picks as his first starting pitcher. Corbin Burns was on Melvin's team last year, en route to a championship banner for himself. And Corbin Burns also cost me in other leagues as well. And definitely Shohei Ohtani cost me in the other two leagues I'm in the fantasy playoffs. So Alex decides that he's gonna kind of emulate that nightmare scenario for me, and I hope it works out for him. But well, for Alex's sake, I hope it works out for him. But for my sake, I hope it it proves to be disastrous going into that well. And as you can see, Noah, we go back to back to back pitchers. Chris Burns, Chris Sale goes to the Fighting Phils, and again, Carlos sees that Tyler picked the former White Sox, former Red Sox, tall lefty starting pitcher in Chris Sale. So he gets his own former White Sox, current Red Sox, tall lefty handed pitcher, Garrett Croquet. And I have a theory that Carlos is just kind of mimicking whoever's picking before him, and just picking players with that certain theme. And I was gonna call him out for that, but then I pick a Red Sox player in Rafael Devers. So maybe it's in my head. But you'll see. There's other examples where he's doing the same thing, but I'll highlight that as we go. Logan Gilbert, I guess I underrated him this upcoming season. He goes to the Angels team. Melvin sees that the pitchers are going by fast, so he gets Dylan Cease. So, what do you think of that strategy? Going Paul Skeens and Dylan Cease. That you wondered about the volume that Paul Skeens can bring, but one thing for sure is that he's gonna bring a lot of strikeouts. Dylan Cease is also gonna bring a lot of strikeouts. What do you think of that pairing that Melvin did there for the starting pitchers?
Oh yeah, it's definitely not a bad strategy to go with. You want to get the strikeouts. This year, you're kind of worried about both these guys' availability. Doesn't Cease have some injury questions too?
No, he has command
Or
issues. He has command problems,
oh,
which
the command issues.
it's always been a command issue with him. But he still produces. He got a lot of innings last year, and what do you call it? His strikeouts. You cannot deny him the strikeouts. He's always going to strike out a bunch of people in bushels. So there's no denying that. It's just a matter of can he control his walks and keep command of his pitches. And being in San Diego helps a lot too. So, but other than that, I think you are correct in that assessment as well. And of course, I make fun of Carlos, but Matt does the same thing. I see your Dylan sees, and I'll get former Padres, Blake Snell, who also comes with control issues. I mean, his thing is his walks, and he also comes with durability issues, but still considered one of the best starting pitchers in the land. What do you make of Blake Snell? Overall, do you like him? Don't like him? What do you think?
You just gotta hope he can stay healthy because I think I've heard a stat where if he gets like he pitches a full season or gets like 180 innings, like both times he's done it, he's won Cy Young.
Yeah,
So you're just kind of hoping that he stays healthy,
only a
which
hundred
he
and
has kind of an issue.
only 104 innings pitched last year. I don't know what the issue was, but I mean he's productive. Yeah, the walks are always going to be high, but it doesn't stop him from winning Cy Young awards, like you mentioned. And then there's the Cy Young award in 2023 when he got to 180 innings pitched. But yeah, even after COVID, 128 innings, 128 innings, 107, and there's that 180 from 2018. I believe that was the year he won the Cy Young. Has to be
Yeah,
correct. And
yeah.
then it's 129. So yeah, I don't know what the issues are with him, but when he's on,
I
even with the walks, he's on fire. Go ahead.
I know last year he signed late and then he kind of rushed through spring training and
Right.
then ended up on the IL like within a few starts
Yeah,
and
very good
missed a couple
point.
months.
I forgot about that. That's a really good point too. So he was a late arrival to spring training, and that messed up his availability for the entire for the beginning of the season. But once he got on, he was on fire. So anyway,
Yeah, he was dominant the second half.
and now he's with the Dodgers, probably doing the 6-man rotation thing or 7-man rotation, and who knows what tricks the Dodgers are going to pull off to keep him fresh for the playoffs and the World Series and stuff like that. So that's the risk that you take with Blake Snell, but there's no denying that he's very effective and very productive. Anyway, I like to make fun of you right here. You went with the catcher here from the Cubs rival, former Cubs catcher Wilson Contreras' brother William Contreras, and there's a Cub connection there. I deem that a homer pick. But catchers,
Nah.
you picked the number one second baseman and the number one catcher. Was that your strategy all along, just to get the number one guys in those two positions, or did it just work out that it's way like that? What was your strategy
Yeah,
there?
that's kind of how I went about it to start the draft. I wanted after I picked Tucker, I kind of realized I wanted a couple guys that were in kind of a weaker position to get the top guys there.
Yeah,
But yeah,
and
that
that,
was
well, I mean, it's bold. I like it. I like the planning. I'm not sure if I would have done it, but I like the strategy there. I can tell you that much. We move on to Corey Seager, Robert. I think Corey Seager used to be on Robert's team all the time. I don't think he was on it last year, but it's not surprising that he gets Corey Seager. And look at this strategy there. He picks a shortstop here, a shortstop in the third round. We do have a shortstop and a middle infield position to fill out. So, and then look what he did in the next two rounds. Matt Olson, Pete Alonso. We got a first base position slot to fill in, and then we got a corner infield slot to fill in as well. Before we move on in the third round, I mean, I got to ask you, it's why? Well, I guess I don't know. What do you think of that strategy? I hate to be cliche about it. I feel like I keep asking you the same questions, but this is pretty bold here, don't you think? Or are we missing something here? Or what what do you think of that? Robert's strategy in this one?
I don't think it's too bad, honestly. I've kind of realized doing mock drafts and just regular drafts throughout these days, kind of realize that there's a lot more depth when it comes to pitching than hitters. So
Yeah.
I don't mind the strategy. Kind of seems like he's just trying to fill out his roster almost in order, though, which
Mm.
I don't know if I have any issues with that or not, but
Yeah, because my concern about going that route is that you leave yourself weak in other positions. At the same time, though, I'm the same guy who waited forever and a day to get a first baseman. I waited forever and a day to get a second baseman. And yeah, and even catcher, I waited forever. So I'm wondering what it is exactly that I was doing that I couldn't emulate the same thing. I've seen it happen before with other former opponents of mine where they went this route. I'm just surprised that this league or even the other league that is more established hasn't done this more often, where they do um, pick talent over filling out positions. I don't know. Would you ever consider doing that, or is it more important for you to fill out every single position before you decide to go with this route of strategy here?
usually I kind of like to prefer to grab the best players available
Okay.
when it comes to drafting.
Well, we'll see if you actually live up to that promise. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure my with doing this league almost 2 weeks, I think my strategy has changed multiple times throughout.
Yeah, that is the one thing I will say. You guys got me working here. Because I think that was part of the reason why I got mad in the 10th round with Angel was because leading up to that 10th round, I was just getting whatever player I wanted. Everything was working out the way it's supposed to. I even got some players that I wasn't expecting to get to my pleasant surprise. So I was very happy. And then the 10th round happened, and we'll get to it in just a bit. And that's why I kind of lost it. But that's just a testament to you guys making me work hard. I must have deleted my entire queue and then reshuffled it back in there like seven times at least. And it's an odd number that I can able to count, but I've never done that before. Usually when a player gets on my queue, that's it. They're on my queue until you guys pick that player or I select that player, but I'm not removing anyone. I was so jumbled with players and having to change my strategy because you guys were doing so many unpredictable things that I literally had to like just start from scratch. And that is the advantage of being in a slow draft, right? You have a chance to kind of take a step back and reconfigure your thought process and your strategy and your cue. Um, but yeah, but the reason you have to do that is because everybody is also has uh, that same time to do the same exact thing and to rethink and not have a short amount of time to make a quick decision. They do. I mean, we've seen people sleep on their picks, so they slip on it. They wake up. Yeah, I'm gonna go a different route than what I did last night. So, and that creates a domino effect. So, anyway, Framber Valdez goes to Bob's team. That's his first pitcher, and Raheel, the Cardinals fan, looks around and he's thinking the same thing when I thought about Tatis Jr. when I got him. He's looking around and he's asking, "You guys are really gonna let me get Ronald Acuna in the third round?" Okay, he won't be available to May at the earliest, but he's on Raheel's team. And then I think this is where we're gonna break off a little bit. Ivan goes back to back with Steve Kwan and Luis Arias. And my mind is just completely blown apart here, as I did not expect that. I did not expect that at all. And I got to be honest with you, Noah. There was a time where, when I do these projections, I was able to kind of create a new statistic. I mean, in lack of a better term, I'm calling it a statistic on my spreadsheet. I'm infamous for my spreadsheet, but I basically took all the counting stats that were being tracked in this league, and I just added it up, got a number, and it looked weird. But Luis Arias, when you do it that way, when you account for all the counting stats that we keep track of, and of course you subtract the strikeouts and the caught stolen bases, right? But when you would do it that way, all of a sudden Luis Arias is a top 10 player. Now, is he being selected as a top 10 player in practice? No, not even in this format, in this league, in this draft. He's in the fourth round. But other guys that show up were guys like Jung Ho Lee, who became like an afterthought in majority of leagues. When I accumulated the counting stats, home runs, runs batted in, stolen bases, doubles, singles, triples, all of that. All of a sudden, Jung Ho Lee of the San Francisco Giants, and if I'm butchering the name, I apologize, but the center fielder for the Giants who uh, was lost last year due to a shoulder injury, trying to make a diving stab. Anyway, when you do it that way, suddenly Jung Ho Lee skyrockets from being somewhere in the top 100 to being top 50, top 30 type of player just because of the accumulation of stats. With all that being said, I will also like to point out that my former podcast partner, Sean, used to do the same thing. He always wanted to get these high contact rate players like Steve Kwan, Luis Arias. They have ultra high contact rates. They make contact with the ball. Not a lot of power or authority, but they make a lot of contact. He used to win championships with this strategy. I will say the difference is that Sean had horses in front of him, guys who could steal lots of bases and hit lots of home runs, hit for lots of power, high on base percentage. These guys were just complementary pieces. Ivan basically saying, nah, screw all that. I want these guys to be at the forefront of my team. I know. A long-winded way of me trying to get back to you, but I just wanted to provide some background here. I don't, you tell me, man. Ivan doing this, and if I didn't mention, Ivan is Melvin's nephew, and I forgot. I think he's a Mets fan, and he has a second team. I think it's the Reds, but I don't remember at this point. But anyway, getting back to these two picks, I gotta ask you, man, what did you think when you saw that he made the Steve Kwan and Luis Arias back-to-back picks here?
They're not the worst players to pick, especially with you talking about all the counting stats. I just felt it was kind of early. I felt these guys could have lasted maybe a round or two more.
And I'm not
Felt like
saying,
there
oh, go
was
ahead.
better players. Feel like there were better players on the board to take before these guys.
Yeah, and this format is still pretty brand new. I mean, it's only been like, well, I guess it's almost 6, 7 years in the Baseball Life League, and we've been doing this one in the Total Basis Podcast League. We've been doing this for like maybe three. I think this is our fourth season, so it's relatively new. Uh, we're counting on the website to tell us what players to select, but even when we were on ESPN, Luis Arias and Steve Kwan were never top 36, top 35 players in terms of how they rank their players. Even in Fantrax, there's no way that these guys were ranked that high. But I think Ivan must have figured out something. And like I said, even when I do the projections for the counting stats, these guys' names do go all the way up. I didn't do it this year. I didn't get a chance to do it, but I remember doing it a couple years ago, and Luis Arias was like top eight player. Do you draft them as a top eight player? No, because you still want to go with more conventional names. I think Jazz Chisholm would have been a better pick than Luis Arias. Matt Olson for sure. Austin Riley, Jackson Merrill in terms of hitters. Even Manny Machado, who's more established. But it's bold. I will give him that. It is bold. Uh, and I think that's well, you're on board, so I'm going to talk about your team after I'm done with the fourth round. But I did mention Jazz Chisholm, Jose Altuve, and there's another one, Bob, going back to back Astros player. And I think that's funny. James Hannaboat, as you in the Baseball Life League, you notice that he did the same thing in our draft where he went back to back Astros players with Valdez and Altuve. Excuse me, but I want to point out that Bob, between Freeman and Altuve, there's a running theme to Bob's team as well. Everybody has a running theme. And I did mention Matt Olson before, and we got to your team, Shota Imanaga, which I noticed you did not pick Shota as your first starting pitcher in the Baseball Life League. I forgot who you went with your first starting pitcher in that league, but I think Imanaga was your second starting pitcher. So why did you go Imanaga as your number one here, but not in the other league? What changed?
Let, let me go back real quick and look at who I took.
It might have been
Done
Cole
done
Reagans,
so
maybe.
many drafts here.
How many leagues are you in?
5.
Man, the way you talk, I thought you were like an eight, nine, maybe 10. And like, that's crazy, man. But five isn't too shabby.
Let me look here.
I think it's grounds for divorce in my marriage, but five isn't too bad. You're young. You got nothing to worry about. Yeah, if I were to do five leagues, I think my wife would divorce me for sure.
Oh yeah, it was Reagan's I took
Okay.
with my first pick of that draft.
So what made you change your mind? I mean, why did you pick Imanaga first here, but number two in the other league? I'm kind of curious about that thought process.
I think it's just where they fell
Hmm.
kind of in the order of the rankings there.
Okay.
I think Imanaga fell a little later in that other draft because Imanaga was kind of like right there when I took him in this draft.
Okay.
I didn't really have to reach down for him at all.
All right. Because Reagan's would get selected a few picks after that one. So I just was kind of curious. Like, well, he could have gotten Reagan's and maybe he could have gotten Imanaga in the fifth round, but it's hard to tell. I doubt that Melvin would have picked another catcher, another starting pitcher, because he already got two of them. So, but interesting. I've actually enjoyed the strategy. Usually I'm here making fun of everybody, but I think everybody this year came with like a strategy that they had in mind. There's a theme to these picks. There's something poetic about it. And like I said, I'll get to it when I get to it in just a bit. But I want to finish up the fourth round, and I'll focus on your team since you're here. Yamamoto going to Nyland's team. And speaking of themes, there's certainly a theme going on with that guy, and I'll talk about it when I get a chance. Austin Riley, who I believe was on Melvin's team in the Mardi Gras Madness League last year, he must have liked him enough to get him in this league, so he has his corner infield positions locked up. Angel goes Logan Gilbert, Cole Reagans back to back, so very not bad. I mean, of all the guys here, Noah, who have back-to-back pitchers, including Garrett Croquet, Michael King on Carlos's team, you got Logan Gilbert and Cole Reagans on the same team, Paul Skeens and Dylan Cease on the same team, Blake Snell, Yamamoto, I believe is how you pronounce his name, on the same team, and that's it. I mean, I guess we can lean on Skeens and Cease be number one, 1-2 punch, but I don't know. Logan Gilbert and Cole Reagans. They're pretty up there. I mean, would you consider putting Logan Gilbert, Cole Reagans as a 1-2 combination as the best 1-2 punch in the league, or are they number two, or do you see it differently here?
I think they're probably going to get the most workload, and
Hmm.
they had high strikeout numbers last year. I believe both of them hit 200 strikeouts with Reagan's. I think just being like one shy of ruining Scooball's triple crown, or he was like a couple strikeouts shy of ruining Scooball's triple crown. So I
Wow. Yeah.
really like the strikeout numbers there from both of them.
Yeah, Logan Gilbert is just I just been kind of we've been kind of waiting for him to become this pitcher that he has become. I kind of slept on him. I had him in 2023 and he kind of underwhelmed. Yeah, underwhelmed with these numbers, right? Than 2023 numbers. But that just goes, I mean, you just mentioned it. I mean, that goes to show you how dominant the starting pitching has been. I'm not dominant, but so much depth. Like there's other players that were
Yeah.
available that could do the same. But I don't know. I don't know why I slept on Logan Gilbert this year. He was one of my favorites for many years. Maybe because I would have to get him in the third round. I don't know. Anyway, so he Angel gets Cole Reagans, and like I told you before, my concentration is I need to get outfielders, man. I don't want to wait too long and be stuck with outfielders that I don't like. I want to. These are, I mean, let's face it, outfielders. Those are the guys who are going to get you that power speed combination that I'm looking for in this draft. So I went with Jackson Merrill. There was three guys that I was hoping to get, and if I landed on two of them, I would be happy. Jackson Merrill, Wyatt Langford, and James Wood. So I got Jackson Merrill because center field is weak this year. I noticed. I don't know why center field.
Yeah, it is.
And I remember like in years past, it was right field where it was like, oh man, right field sucks. Left field, anybody can play left field, but yeah, it seems like it's a back and forth thing. So I'm glad you see it the same way I saw it there. So I went with Jackson Merrill, even though I've been in my mock drafts, I've been getting a lot of James Wood, but I figured that center field is so weak. I don't want to take a chance. So Jackson Merrill was my guy. Unfortunately, Alex goes with James Wood. So in the fifth round, I went with Wyatt Langford. Yeah, it's not too shabby. I got the guys that I wanted in terms of like that power speed combination at outfield. So I picked the Padres outfielder. Carlos picks the Padres starting pitcher. And before I make fun of Carlos for mimicking us, there's Tyler picking a Padres third baseman, Manny Machado. Back to back to back Padres players going there. And I already mentioned James Wood. And Alex pairs up James Wood with Marcell Ozuna on the turn. So, as promised, those were the first four rounds. Instead of going back and forth like this, normally I do it that way, but I have two more of these to go, so I want to do something different. And let's take a look at Ivan's. I'm sorry, not Ivan's team. Your team is what I meant to say. It's 12 p.m. somewhere on the right side of your screen here. Joga Bonito is Matt Nyland, the Twins fan, but we're going to talk about the Cubs fan in Las Vegas. He went Kyle Tucker, Ketel Marte. We mentioned all those guys. Kyle Schwarber, former Cubs player. Justin Steele, current Cubs player. I mocked you for the William Contreras thing, but I'm not going to mock you for Freddie Peralta. But yeah, he picked the Cubs' current rival from the Brewers, Freddie Peralta. Do I dare say Cubs' current rival, Cardinals closer Ryan Helsley, homer pick? I'm joking. Not really. But Cubs player, Nico Horner. Cubs player, Porter Hodge. What else? What else? What else? I know you made a lot of these picks. Jameson Taillon, Cade Horton, Kevin Alcantara, current Cubs players. I think you might have easily gotten the Homer Award here. Was that why do you insist on getting all these Cubs players, man? Don't you know that that's a fast way to get hurt in this in fantasy baseball? Or are you not concerned about that at all? About rain delays and being too attached to these players? Why did you do it, man? I gotta ask.
Not too concerned with it. I wasn't. I think getting later in the draft, I don't know. I was just going after certain stats. I know when I took Nico Horner, I took him because I was kind of worried about stolen bases up to this point.
Hmm.
All my picks before him, uh, none of the hitters are really going to get you stolen bases outside of Xavier Edwards.
Yeah.
And then, and also I think Nico Horner I think I took him because Carlos sniped me on PCA because I
Mm.
wanted PCA for the stolen bases.
Yeah, we gotta establish what sniping means. I think it's like maybe two or three picks away. You're like, well, how many picks are you away from him? One, two, three, four. You're five picks away, man. Nah,
It
nah, nah.
was it was literally I was gonna take him literally like the same round, and he was kind of a reach pick too at that point, and just went and nabbed him.
Is that a homer pick from him? Former Mets player Pete Crow Armstrong going to the Mets fan. Do we
I
consider
don't know.
that a homer pick? I would.
He seems to be the only Mets fan in baseball life that likes PCA.
That's crazy. That is so crazy. Just that is an awful take. You cannot deny that Pete Crow Armstrong, at the very worst, can easily be a Kevin Kiermaier clone. And Kevin Kiermaier helped, on his defense alone, helped the Tampa Bay Rays immensely.
Yeah,
Immensely. Like he was always on the highlight reel and the stats backed it up. He was at one point the best fielder anywhere, especially at center field. And as you know how demanding center field is. So I think Pete Crow Armstrong could be that guy, even if he doesn't if he only hits like 212 or that's way too low. But if he hits like 220, 235 and he can still steal 30 bases. Yeah, he has to get on base, but he can still steal 30 bases. He has that potential. And yeah, he might not be hitting for consistently, but as long as that glove works in in one of the most demanding fielding positions in all of baseball, center field, you cannot say that he's an awful player. You can't. He's one of the
right.
he's one of the best defensive center fielders anywhere, and he hasn't even played a full season yet. But salty Mets fans. But I'm glad Carlos um, recognizes that, right? You mentioned Nico
Yeah.
Horner. Uh, if there were any other players that were available in that spot for stolen base potential. I think Bryson Stott, but I honestly don't know how many stolen bases he will get you. Yeah, 30 stolen bases, and
Okay, I
he's healthy. Go
wasn't
ahead.
aware that wasn't aware that Stott stole that many bases.
But one thing I will say about Stott is that he's very inconsistent. This is why I don't believe in batting average, bro. How do you go from 234 up to 280 and then back down to 245? It's a fluky. Oh, well, yeah, I know what happened. 2023, that was the year that this shift ended. So
Yep,
this is the real Bryson Stott right here, 245. So I guess in that sake, batting average is predictive, but I think the on base percentage and is more telling of what his skill set is. As we're now the on base percentage in 2023 with the shift being eliminated, the extreme shift being eliminated, is very fluky. So,
yeah,
and one thing for sure, Nico Horner is not going to strike out 90 plus times a year. Nico Horner has excellent back control, and I like
right.
Bryson Stott, but Nico Horner is on another level in terms of skill. I just wish he could stay healthy and be more explosive.
I
Any
wish he
other?
could hit for a little more average. That's
Oh,
my
Nico.
one complaint with Nico.
Yeah, he's always had potential because he does have a high contact rate, and I mean he does hit for average,
Okay,
302,
that's higher than I
281.
thought.
Yeah, and better than Bryson Stott. Because yeah, when a guy like him has a high contact rate skills like that, he's gonna hit for high batting average by default, and he has speed. I mean, he's pretty damn fast. He wouldn't be so fast if he couldn't steal these many bases. So I will give you that. That corner is more consistent, better plate discipline. Let's look at C. Although well, that's alarming. Well, was he trying to hit for 10 home runs again? No.
I,
Get out of here. Get out of here with that. 30. I will gladly take 35 doubles from Nico Horner.
oh yeah, for
Gladly.
sure.
Gladly. Anyway, so yeah, I guess, and I do have Nico Horner ranked ahead of Bryce Stott by one spot. So it worked out. I think that's a good pick. Even though it's a homer pick, it's the pick to make if you're looking for stolen bases. Anyway, let's go back to your team. Let's see what else. But other than that, I just feel like you were just grabbing every cosplayer, which is always a danger. I was taught at a young age, when I was your age, young man. I was taught that you don't want to pick too many guys from the same team, even if it's your homer team, because rain delays happen and you're screwed. You're missing one game, and double headers aren't always made up that same week or that same series. And if you're trying to accumulate stats, you lose out because all your players are out. Also, you get attached to them. Like you can't trade him because he's not a Cub player. You can't drop him because he's a Cubs player. You get attached. I mean, I get attached to players on my fantasy team. Ask Christian Yelich. And when you get attached, that's when you get in trouble. Did you know that someone offered me Shohei Ohtani for Christian Yelich straight up, and I refused to do it because I believe in Christian Yelich because I had him since he was a teenager.
When was
That's
this?
I know Ohtani was on the Angels, and this is
Oh, okay.
around maybe it was 2020, definitely after Yelich had won an MVP award, and then everything just fell to crap with him. The injuries just started piling up. But Shohei Ohtani was also getting hurt all the time. But I still believe in Christian Yelich. Like he just needs to stay healthy. He won MVP. I've known him since he was a minor leaguer. I'm gonna see this through, and boy, did I regret that decision. So, but that's what happens. And if you can get attached to a player who's not even on a Cub, like in my instance, a Cubs player, he's a Brewers player, and before that, a Marlins player. But if you, as a fantasy leaguer, can get attached to players just like that, imagine what happens when you get attached to your favorite players on your favorite teams. It's just, I don't know. It's a recipe for disaster, but obviously you're not concerned at all, right? You're not concerned about rain delays, or you're not concerned about attachments. You're not concerned about uh, everybody on the same team going through a collective slump, anything like that.
I think there's a little concern, but I don't think I have that many players. Like I guess Steele and having the three in the same rotation is probably not the greatest move, but at the same time,
No, bro.
I
Without
don't know. It's
looking,
not too much of a concern otherwise.
all right. Well, without looking, you easily get the Homer Award. Easily get the Homer Pick Award. I think Carlos might be a close second, but you easily get the Homer Award. Even when you don't include like the former Cubs players, I think you easily win this. Take the cake here. Moving on. So we mentioned Nico Horner. I like the Xavier Edwards pick. I'm kind of shocked that I didn't get him myself, but oh well, I got Bobby Witt Jr., so I guess I don't need him. And I had Zach Neto ranked ahead of Xavier Edwards, and that's why I went with Zach Neto over Edwards. But yeah, you got two guys here in Horner and Edwards who can get a lot of contact, a lot of stolen bases. Hopefully, it leads to a high batting average for your sake. So that's a pretty darn good move there. Since you waited for outfield, you got stuck with Tyler O'Neill. Obviously, you believe in him, but I don't know. The strikeout rates are too high. But I guess you got two guys who don't strike out too much up here, so you can live with a Tyler O'Neill. Love the Paul Goldschmidt pick. I think you see it the
Do
same way I
you?
see it. Uh, I mean, obviously, I didn't get him, but I did rank them as 13th, as a 13th best first baseman on my in my spreadsheets. What's the matter? Why does he have a red flag here? Yankees manager Aaron Boone said Tuesday that he expects Goldschmidt, who has a back problem, to return to the lineup Thursday. I don't like his age.
Yeah.
I don't know how stupid fan tracks doesn't say the age, and I don't know. There's usually a little button that tells you to ask you if you want to see more about the guy, but I can't find it here. But anyway, I think he's clearly in his he's advanced in terms of baseball terms. He's in his late 30s, I believe,
Yeah.
and fighting a back problem. But I think moving away from St. Louis will do wonders for him. Playing
I
at
think
Yankee
so too.
Stadium, playing at Yankee Stadium will do wonders for him and a better lineup. Although with everybody getting hurt again, who knows how good of a lineup that Yankees team is going to have. But obviously, you believe in Paul Goldschmidt because of that change of scenery. Am I safe to assume that?
Kind of. Also, I kind of waited too long to get a first baseman, and he was kind of. I looked throughout all the ones that were still available, and he seemed like the best case scenario with where he's going to be playing his home games.
I'm glad you brought
And
that up. Go ahead. Go ahead.
but yeah, that's about it. It was kind of felt like I was settling on him
Mm.
just because I waited so long for first baseman.
All right, let's take a look. Who else is available at first base? So Paul Goldschmidt in the middle of the 15th round. Okay. I see Nate Lowe. So you don't believe in Nate Lowe either,
I didn't really like what I saw from his stats
even with him
when I
moving
was
to
looking
the
at him.
even with him moving to the Nationals. You don't think a change of scenery and getting away from that Rangers gargantuan ballpark is gonna fix him or change his approach or anything like that?
I feel like moving to Nationals, he's going to be in a kind of a weaker lineup. He might not see as much to hit
Hmm.
as being in a stronger lineup.
Yeah, that's true. Yandy Diaz, Yandy Diaz on base machine. We do play in a batting average and on base percentage league, and he can bring those two. But you pick Goldschmidt over Yandy Diaz here.
Yeah, with Yandy, I used to really like him, but I feel like he's kind of declined offensively the last
Hmm.
couple of years. Maybe he had a rebound last year. I know his 2023 was pretty dreadful, I believe, compared to his years before.
Actually, 2023 was pretty darn good. 22 home runs. And I don't
Was
mean
it?
to, yeah, I don't mean to put you on the spot like this, but we double check our work here. I double check my work.
Yeah,
Sometimes I don't remember all the things, man. I'm old as hell. But the one thing I will say about Yandy Diaz is that he can be very beneficial in batting average and on base. Last year was a kind of decline. And the one thing I will agree with you on certain thing in terms of decline, 14 home runs from a power position, kind of a hard sell.
14 home run. Maybe it was a decline in counting numbers I was kind of thinking about maybe.
Yeah. 9 home runs here. He's also done 20 doubles, which if you're not going to get home runs, at least give me some doubles. He can't even do that. And the
Yeah,
strikeouts are inching closer to 100, but I will give him credit. He's one of those guys who almost walks as many times as he strikes out. The RBI are low, so maybe that's what you were looking at as well, especially from
a
a
little
power
bit, yeah.
position. Yeah. So his knock has always been that he doesn't provide the counting stats from that position. So in that respect, I will agree with you. But yeah, man, it's just hard to deny that the average and the on base percentage will always be respectable at the very worst. So that's one thing I will say, and that's why I have Yandy Diaz ranked ahead of Goldschmidt, but only by 2 spots. And it goes back to just the lack of counting stats. He doesn't steal you any bases either. Whereas Goldie, I mean, shoot, if he kind of rejuvenates himself a little bit, he might steal some bases. Maybe we'll see. What has he done with the Cardinals lately? Let me double check that. Oh yeah, double digit stolen bases the last couple of years. Come on. Yeah, I mean it's not the 32 stolen bases that he was getting at his peak, but double digits from your first baseman, not too shabby. Strikeouts are alarming though. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that is a little alarming.
but I guess that's always
Uh,
been his MO, but the walks are declining, which that might be a batting eye issue. Go ahead. I think I interrupted you. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just agreeing with you on the strikeouts being a little alarming.
Yeah. And then we'll find one more first baseman just to tickle your brain a little bit here. Where is he? Paredes does not qual. Oh, Christian Encarnacion. Who got him
I
in
did.
this? So what happened there? So you didn't believe in goalie that much, or you just wanted to have a veteran and young player combo there? What were you thinking there?
Yeah, I think he also would fit into my corner infield slot as well.
Hmm.
I kind of if he can be healthy for a full season, I kind of like his I think his projection is better in Goldie, but I don't really fully trust him being so young and having I think some injury issues. I don't fully trust him yet.
The other issue is that the Reds are loaded, man. The Reds are loaded, and they need
Yeah,
and he can only play first base. Although I think he came up as a third baseman as well. My memory's kind of hazy, but definitely first base DH type of player. Well, the Reds have a lot of guys that need first base DH eligibility, including their catcher, Tyler Stevenson, who is hurt right now, including Spencer Steer, who's hurt right now. So you might see some dividends right away. But the one thing is that with great power comes lots of strikeouts. You can't see it here because he's been a part-time player, but that's always been his MO. I mean, 18 walks versus 104 strikeouts in 338 at bats. I mean, I don't need to be a math wizard to realize this, but that's almost a strikeout every three at bats. And even in a league that doesn't care about guys who strike out too much, that's still a lot of strikeouts. Yeah, every
yeah.
three games every three at bats he's striking out. So that's as many as two a game. We do penalize for strikeouts in a league like this. So for a one-dimensional player, yeah, this isn't going to cut the mustard. But
He probably
the
won't start for me. He'll probably be a depth piece on the bench.
Yeah, it's a wait and see player, right? And because
Yeah.
you're banking on the fact that he did come with high prospect pedigree for a Reds team that has proven to show that they can bring up whoever they want and they'll succeed. I mean, the Reds are full of homegrown players for sure, so he's one of them. So we'll see what happens. But I got to ask you, and the reason I was wondering is I ended up getting Ryan Mountcastle as my primary first baseman in the 18th round right here.
hmm
Why don't you like Ryan Mountcastle? I remember I was the biggest critic of Ryan Mountcastle, but I
I
know.
I was
Go ahead.
surprised by that pick
Yeah, man.
that you took. I thought you didn't like him.
I like getting him in the 18th round as one of the last first basemen available. I had him ranked 17th. I get him in the 18th round, so I was happy with that. And last year he struggled, so his price dropped. I think this year he's gonna. I think with the Orioles pushing the fences in, we're gonna see a resurgence in Ryan Mountcastle. I think. And that's what gravitated me towards him. And we'll take a look at the stats really quick. And as you can see, even from the scores here, even in 2023, he got penalized, lack of home run power. But I think this is the Great Wall of Baltimore playing into the mix. But before that, I mean, he was hitting 20 plus home runs, 33 home runs. And the one thing I always hated about him was the low on base percentage and the high strikeouts. However, I think he might have been controlling his strikeouts a little bit more in the past couple of seasons. So with less strikeouts, more power, better situation, I'm actually banking that he's gonna exceed his projections this year. So, but obviously you didn't like him enough to draft him over Paul Goldschmidt.
No, I don't think so. I think I, based off kind of his last couple years and the fact that Goldschmidt switching ballparks is and going to be in a decent lineup, I think I liked Goldschmidt a little better.
All
Feel like
right.
he might have a resurgence.
I mean, I think there's a resurgence there too, but I was targeting Ryan Mountcastle in all my drafts, all my what do you call it? All my mock drafts as well. Anyway, let's quickly move on here. Any other players of note that I've noticed here? Jeimer Candelario, so you kind of have that insurance in case Christian Encarnacion's trend doesn't work out.
Yeah.
I know that you got Carlos back with the Brandon Sproat pick. That's a pretty decent pick. And you got some minor league players who qualify for now, but they may not qualify at the beginning of the season, especially although I've not been keeping track of Porter Hodge too much, but I have to assume that he's going to be on the major league roster. Is that correct?
Yeah, I didn't choose. I didn't even expect. I don't even know why he's eligible to be in the minors. I think he was in the big leagues like half the season at least last year, I think.
You got
He was
to,
like the closer at one point.
he didn't get to 50 innings. So he
Yeah.
qualifies for now. As
I didn't draft him with expectations for him to be in a minor league spot because I know he's going to be like a setup guy behind Presley,
right.
maybe even close some games.
Well, you have that luxury if you want to, if you want to put him on your minor league slot and grab another player and then make a decision later. So but yeah, I'm definitely going to turn on the feature where it says it has to be in the minor leagues as we get closer to opening day, the real American opening day, for lack of a better way of putting it. We just saw the Japanese opening day with the Dodgers and
Yeah.
Cubs. Dodgers whooped our asses, but that's okay. That was expected. We'll get them back when we get on home field turf. But yeah, as we get closer to opening day, I will turn that feature back on, and then you guys will have 2 weeks to make a decision there. So anyway, that's your team. The other team I wanted to kind of spotlight here, really quickly is Ivan, who is new to the team. The last time I played, and he came in with guns a blazing. I mean, he bragged about how he's a sabermetrics fan. The last time I played against him in any league format, it was in Yahoo, and it was this weird analytics league, which even for me was kind of like way too much for me, but interesting. But that's the kind of guy that he's. And if you know Melvin, Ivan is pretty much like a similar version of him as well. So, but I noticed that he picked the high contact rate guys. Alex Bregman also uh high contact rate for his position. I believe Josh Naylor also comes with a lot of contact rate. Salvador Perez, I don't free swinger. We'll give him that. Wilson Contreras. I think Wilson Contreras was the guy to get in drafts. That's the guy to target. In the ninth round, I mean, you can't draw it out better than what he did right there.
Yeah, that's
Vinny,
pretty good value.
first baseman Vinny Pasquantino comes with a lot of high contact rate. Brandon Nimmo, high contact rate. Nolan Arenado, aggressive swinger, high contact rate, relatively speaking, of course. I don't think Stott has high contact rate as we just saw. John Lee, high contact rate, even in we didn't see him go through the full season, but yeah, he did display loads of high contact. Andres Jimenez, high contact rate. Jacob Wilson, high contact rate. Geraldo Perdomo,
I
high
think
contact
Friedel
rate.
too.
Yeah, man. I'll have to double check.
He's not a power hitter, I know that.
Yeah, yeah, he has pop.
He only hits home runs against the Cubs.
Yeah, and he does a pretty decent job of controlling his strikeouts, and at the very least, he walks as many times as he almost walks as many times as he strikes out, almost at a 1-to-2 ratio. So yeah, you might be onto something. I just don't remember him. I don't exactly remember where he was. He's left-handed too, so those guys get exposed rather easily against left-handed pitching. But yeah, I'll give you Friedel. But yeah, I told you, even Brian Hayes at third base, Punch and Judy third baseman, high contact rate guy. There was a theme here to Ivan's team. I'm not sure if it's gonna work out, but as long as he has these two horses up top, it and even Alex Bregman to a certain extent, and he has a very killer 1-2 combination at catcher. It should make up for the fact that he has a lot of Punch and Judy guys that I don't know what they're gonna do this year. I don't know who is there to provide stolen bases, but this has got to be one of the most highly skilled group of hitters I've seen in a fantasy league in a long time. Even with my ex partner Sean. Uh, and I got to ask you, now that you have seen the strategy in its full metal here, I mean, what do you think? I mean, do you like it, or do you have question marks about it? Thoughts on that?
I kind of like the list of players he has here, looking at
Yeah.
his team now. The Quan and Arias picks were kind of questionable as early as they happened, but it seems like he still put together a pretty solid team, especially with how late he got Contreras, and Contreras will have first base eligibility too,
Yep.
as well. Vinny P could be really valuable too if he can stay healthy.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
don't know
Very.
about Nimmo though.
Yeah.
I don't know too much about him.
Nemo's a case, but as you can see from the score, he does flourish in a league like ours, especially if he can stay healthy. And he definitely provides high on base. Not last year though, but definitely high on base percentage type of player. He started hitting for more power recently, so that's going to help. And then all of a sudden, he steals 15 stolen bases. That's crazy to think. He's always been a very patient hitter, almost to a fault. But yeah, he's just a highly skilled type of player who lacks explosivity. But I mean, obviously, he makes up for it in doubles as well. There's 30 doubles there. He's trying to hit for more power, and the on base will always be there. So he's a very highly skilled player. It's just kind of hit or miss in fantasy, right? In
Yeah.
points leagues, I don't know if I would trust him, but in a format like this, Ivan might be onto something. I think he figured out where what they call the market inefficiency was in this league, and we'll see if it works out. Uh, the other team I wanted to point out, it was your Joga Bonito, the Twins fan, Nyland, and I just want to quickly mention the names: Ellie La Cruz, Jackson Churiel, Blake Snell, Yamamoto. Not so much Adley Rutschman, but Cody Bellinger, maybe Max Scherzer. Jordan Westbrook comes with some concerns. Luis Robert, Spencer Strider, Anthony Volpe. These guys all came with some glaring red flags. Like there's a lot of high risk, high reward. But for all the players to be high risk, high reward, it's the complete opposite of what we just saw with Ivan's team. And there's another team I'm going to show you that does is the complete opposite of the spectrum here. But Josh Young, George Springer, Helio Ramos, high degrees of risk here. Walker Bueller to a certain extent, but in the 19th round, you'll take it. And I think that's where it ends. I mean, Jack Leiter, the reclamation project with the Texas Rangers, and he finishes the draft with Aroldis Chapman. But lots of risk involved here. I don't know. Did he get a little bit too overzealous there with the risky players, or maybe he also figured out a market inefficiency in this league? What do you think?
I kind of remember like in different drafts and this one too, seeing these players available
Mhm.
to me at some point, and I feel like they all had some kind of question marks. Just
That's what I
about
say.
all these players I'm looking at have some kind of question mark about them. Maybe Edwin Tias might be the only one that doesn't really have a question mark,
Yeah, and
but
he seems to be the.
otherwise,
Go ahead.
otherwise the rest of them. I mean, Ellie De La Cruz, you kind of know what you're going to expect from him. Kind of middle average, high strikeouts, stolen bases, get some power from him too.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the trade-off you get. You're gonna get a poorly, this is the opposite of what Ivan's team looks like. A poorly skilled player with high degrees of raw talent, athleticism, physical attributes, all the tools. If this guy were a football player, I mean, we'd be all scrambling to get him in fantasy
Yeah,
football leagues, even in basketball leagues. If he's Anthony Edwards, basically. In football, what he's like DK Metcalf, or I don't know, who's a tall wide receiver who's really fast. Calvin Johnson, but no, I don't want to compare him to a Hall of Fame player, but you know what I'm getting at here. Uh,
yeah,
maybe Devontae Adams in his peak, maybe. So, but it's baseball. You need that skill. I mean, even Mike Trout came with loads of tools, but it wasn't when he kind of combined the athleticism with the skill when he was controlling his strikeouts did he become the superstar player and the Hall of Fame player that we all know and love. But yeah, Ellie De La Cruz, and then you got Luis Robert on the same team, and then the pitchers are also, got an old Max Scherzer as one of your top pitch. Oh, I get. Well, yeah, we just talked about Blake Snell and Yamamoto. Uh, is Yamamoto going to pitch on the entire season this year? I mean, he had some glaring injuries last year too, and then
yeah, he
Spencer
did.
Strider, who's not going to be ready until what, June maybe? It's May, June, July.
I
So
don't think that late. He just started pitching in spring training.
let's see
I
what.
can't see him
Oh,
coming
okay,
in that late.
April 18th. And is there a date timetable? Okay, I could a mid to late April debut. Okay, I thought for some reason I saw May or June, maybe even July, but okay, that's not too bad for a Tommy John recovery starting pitcher like Spencer Strider. If he can come back by my birthday, that's fine. All right, but I thought that was May or June. I'm like, man, that's why is he doing this to himself? But anyway, so yeah, interesting strategy there. But everybody had their strategy. They weren't just like randomly picking players or just making sure that they're picking their favorite players on their favorite teams, like someone here. I'm teasing. I'm teasing. But everybody has even you had strategy, a certain goal in mind. We'll take a
Yeah.
look at the other guy here that kind of stuck out, and that's Bob's team. Bob, there he is, Team Milliken, the White Sox fan from Indiana, and he picked probably the safest young player available in Corbin Carroll in the first round. Freddie Freeman, Jose Altuve, even Ian Happ, even Framber Valdez, even Christian Yelich, Luis Castillo, who came with a lot of red flags, but we know who he is. Anthony Santander, who, as you know, I'm also a big critic of his, but you know what to get from him, right? Dansby Swanson, Eugenio Suarez, a little bit risky here, but the
Mhm.
one theme I'm seeing from this team here, Noah, is that this looked familiar to me. This looks like a guy who took a look at the projections that were available and is
Mhm.
strictly picking based off projections. And as you may or may not know, Noah, but projections, no matter which projection system, because I use them all. I've used Steamer. I kind of love using the ATC from Ariel Cohen projections. But these projections usually favor guys who have been in the league for almost 2 decades, like because it's a larger sample size. And these projection systems love to use guys that have been consistent for a very, very long time, which explains Freddie Freeman, Jose Altuve, Luis Castillo, Christian Yelich in the eighth round, Dansby Swanson, who's been in the league for a while, Eugenio Suarez, who's been in the league for a while, Max Muncy, yeah, definitely has been in the league for a while. A lot of guys long in the tooth and gray in the beard. Most importantly, from a statistical standpoint, they have a large sample size that makes their projections look good. And I think he just was picking based off chalk. Before we move on anywhere further after the 15 round for this team, do you agree with that, or I mean, what do you think was Bob's strategy for the first 15 rounds or so?
Yeah, that definitely seems like he was going with a lot of players that have a track record of what they've done in the past, except for Jared Jones is probably the out. Jones and Keeper Ruiz are probably the outliers
Yeah,
to that strategy, but
even Ryan
otherwise, other
Walker,
guys. Yeah, Ryan Walker's a new name I've only kind of really heard of this year.
right? Same. I didn't even notice him. I did not even notice him last year. I only know Camilo Doval, the Rogers brothers up in there. Although I think Taylor got traded,
One
if
of
I
them
remember.
got traded.
I think it was
Yeah.
Taylor Rogers, the lefty twin. And then Ryan Walker has come up out of nowhere. I did not expect it. But yeah, I think he was strictly picking based on projections, which yeah, that's on par to what he normally does in other leagues as well, in the basketball league as well. So maybe not so much projection, but definitely he's always looking for the safe options, which I know you probably have met Mike Harvey in the other league. His team looks like that all the time. At the end of it all, it's always like this safe players that he selects, and I always make fun of him for doing that. Wow, this looks like a good sixth place team, but I can't knock him too much because last year he finished in third place. So maybe there is a point to this. He gets a little bit more adventurous, I would say, in the 18th round, and then move on. But the big one here was he went back to back to back to back to back to back prospects. And I had a feeling that if anyone was going to go with that strategy of just saying, forget my active roster. I want my prospects and I want them now. It would have been Bob. And a little bit of background here in the Baseball Life League, Noah.
Hmm.
I kind of did the same thing. We have five minor league players over there, and I kind of did the same thing in that league where I got Bobby Witt Jr., Royce Lewis, Christian Pache, Christian Robinson, and Forrest Whitley, guys who were highly regarded prospects in the top 50, and in terms of Royce Lewis and Bobby Witt Jr. in the top five. Even Forrest Whitley was at one point a top 10 player in minor league slots. And I guess you can see, without even having to look it up, which player ended up fulfilling that potential. Can you guess of that list that I just mentioned?
I think just Bobby Witt, right?
Yep, you got it. And again, these other guys were highly regarded prospects as well, ranked very high on these prospect rankings. And I thought I was slick. I just cornered the market on prospects. I got five highly regarded prospects on my team drafted. I don't have to go through waiver wire. I got them there, and they're gonna help me win championships in the future. And only one of them got to stay on my team for the future, and that was Bobby Witt Jr. Royce Lewis injured. Forrest Whitley multiple Tommy John surgeries. It seems like if it wasn't multiple, it was one too many. Okay, Royce Lewis. Oh God, that's a tragedy in itself. Royce Lewis constantly injured, multiple knee injuries for sure. Christian Robinson, legal issues and injuries as well. And Christian Pache, turns out he's an athletic freak, but he's not a real baseball player. The opposite of that's actually the worst case scenario that might happen to Pete Crow Armstrong if he can't get his his skill set together. But I still believe in PCA being more Kevin Kiermaier than Christian Pache. But I will give Bob credit. I think he's a little bit more informed than I was 5 years ago when I did the initial draft in that other league. But he has himself some ballers here. The Noah Schultz one hurt. The Roman Anthony and Noah Schultz one hurt because I was hoping to get him in this draft myself. Um, with that be and then Chase Dollander,
I was looking at Chase Dollander before I took
I
Cade
heard
Horton, but he took Dollander before.
this might be the one Rockies pitching prospect since John Gray that might actually pull it out here. But I don't know. Why didn't you? Were you even considering doing something similar for your team? And if so, why didn't you go with that strategy? I should say.
What taking minor leaguers?
Yeah, and I guess after the 20th round, or if not, somewhere in the 18, 17, 15, after the 15th round, I guess I should. Why didn't you do the same thing that he did? Did
I
you
know I
even?
took a few, but I think
Yeah,
I think just my knowledge on all the minor league players I think is not too great. I think that's why I didn't go with too many.
and
I'm not too familiar with a lot of prospects.
I think my reasoning is because I am too familiar with too many prospects that even if Bob gets the guys that he wants, just playing this game for a while now, where you incorporate minor league players, I just know that not all of them are going to hit. They're not the 2015 Cubs. Even in fantasy, a lot of these guys are going to fail because that's what happens. Ask the
Yeah.
NFL and the NBA how good they are at picking first round picks. Same concept with fantasy league, especially with minor leaguers. And there's just so damn many of them. And sometimes the best players to get are the ones who are producing at AAA but have no notoriety whatsoever in terms of prospect lists, or not even in top 50, top 25. Maybe they're like 95th best prospect in the league or in one ranking, but they're getting overlooked because they're ranked so low. So all of a sudden, I mean, I think that's what happened with me and Ivan Herrera last year as my third catcher in a two catcher league. Oh, by the way, this is a two catcher league, folks. So, but anyway, interesting strategy. And again, I think that's why I wasn't too concerned. Yeah, it pissed me off that he got both Roman Anthony and Noah Schultz, but I just know that they're not all gonna hit. There's more prospects to go mine after that you don't need to waste a draft pick. And you know, he picked a lot of guys that might be ready to go this season. There's a lot of guys who got drafted last year in high A who are currently in high A or about to make their debut in double A that you might just want to save around for next year. You know what I mean, Noah? Might just want to wait and not go after guys who are gonna try to play this season.
Yeah,
So
that's what I was thinking about too.
yeah,
Not taking that's I wasn't too sure where a lot of these prospects were at
yeah,
in terms of their minor league journey.
yeah.
So also
I
this was my first year doing minor league
okay,
keepers, so I wasn't really too sure on the strategy of drafting them either.
yeah, okay. So just to give you an idea, in the Fangraphs Top 100, Roman Anthony is number two, Sam Basallo is number five, Carson Williams is number 10. Chase Dollander is number 12. Who am I missing here? Oh, Walker Jenkins. I know he's on this list. I just don't know where exactly. And I'm on the other screen, so you guys can't see what I'm looking at. But thought I saw Walker Jenkins earlier. Oh, there he is, number 17, and Noah Schultz, number 18. So yeah, he Bob did his homework. I'll give him credit. He did his homework with the prospects, and he had a strategy here that he was not that this was going to be the window picks 21 through 26. That this was going to be the position where he would get his six prospects, whereas everybody else, I mean, the team on the left, who's that on the left? Oh, well, that's strange. Robert's team did not get a minor league eligible player, despite the fact that he has been playing in a league like the Mardi Gras Madness League, where you can keep two minor league players protected in minor league slots. He decided that he didn't need them in this league, that he'll get them later. So, and the other reason I didn't go because too aggressive on minor league players there, Noah, is because I wanted to make sure I filled out the rest of my roster with major league players who are ready to go right now and can help me right now. And make sure I have the depth and the rotation that I can utilize. Because Noah, as much as I love getting minor league players. I play to win the game. I want to win as soon as possible. As much as I love this, I want to make sure that I have the horses now to help me win early and often. So that's that. Speaking of Robert's team, I'm kind of curious how his team ended up looking because he kind of had a bold strategy there too, where he was filling out his corner infield and his middle infield, and he picked Emmanuel Clase, the best reliever. Arguably, who did you have as your best number one closer coming into this draft,
Who I thought would be the number one.
or who was your personal number one? I guess I should ask.
I think it goes Class A.
Okay. Well, then consensus speaks for itself. Class A number one closer. So that's what Robert went with. Alec Baum, Marcus Simeon. Even though he went ahead and picked the two shortstops and the two first basemen, his team's looking pretty damn good right now. Oh, but then
Yeah.
he does a homer pick with Hunter Brown, which I don't know about that. But that's the downfall. You
Mm,
you concentrate on hitting, that pitching goes kind of by the wayside, and you're kind of stuck getting Hunter Brown, who nice pitcher, but not the safest of choices either. And he also ignored his outfield, so he goes after. That's the other thing I noticed about Robert. He picked a lot of Texas Rangers players as well, and he goes after Adolis Garcia as his first outfielder and Colton Cowser. So yeah, and then Felix Bautista. So that's something that you do in points leagues. I don't know. Do you play in points leagues there, Noah?
I don't think I've done a points league for baseball in a few years.
Okay, well, as you know, saves are worth 10 points. So Roberts clearly is in that mindset that, oh, well, I need at least two or three closers just so I can get those 10 points.
Oh yeah.
So he goes with Clase Bautista, which it's not too shabby. I'm kind of curious to see what he does. Oh, wait, I remember now. Yeah, this is actually a pretty damn good team in terms of relief pitchers. I think he understood the assignment here. Jason Adam in the 19th round, and then Hunter Gaddis in the 28th round. And those two guys are holds machines, and they're
Yep.
great rate stats getters. So, yeah, for someone who says he hasn't played in roto leagues, he did a good job of selecting his relief pitching. I don't like his starting pitchers though. With who else was on this team? Grayson Rodriguez. I'm sorry. I think he's gonna bank on the idea that he'll be back soon, but it's not looking too good for Grayson Rodriguez. He's pretty much starting from scratch now. Uh, and May 1st might be the earliest, but that's starting to look like a June, July comeback for the year there. He also picked Ronald Blanco, kind of a homer pick. I know Blanco had a good year last year, but there's a lot of question marks surrounding Ronald Blanco. I think last year is going to prove that this year is going to prove that last year was kind of a fluke season for him. Yeah, pretty impressive last year, but I don't know, man. I don't trust him. I don't trust him at all for this season. Mitch Keller, Nate Eovaldi. So that yeah, so he great offense, but his starting pitcher kind of falter there because of it. And he also has Luke Weaver. I forgot about that. I missed that one. So I don't know, man. I think I know what he's gonna go for here. I think he's gonna play a lot of games where he's just gonna lean on relief pitchers to get him low rate stats and get him the holds and the saves. And he punted starting pitching. So I've seen it happen before. It's possible, but you still need the volume stats. I don't know. I mean, what do you think of that there, Noah?
What was that again?
Uh,
Although his pitching.
the pitching that he went relief pitching heavy, and the starting pitchers look a little bit mediocre-ish compared to all the other teams we've seen so far. Do you think it's a good idea to punt starting pitching in leagues like this?
I don't think it's the worst idea because like if your relievers are kind of weak, they could really balloon your like your ERA and your WHIP.
Yeah.
So it's not if you have a collective like mediocre, maybe above average starting pitching, that usually averages out your ERA and WHIP and all that. Maybe I'd just be worried about hitting with a mediocre starting pitching. You just worry about getting to the innings limit or getting enough strikeouts to be able to win those matchups every period.
And you may have
But
noticed that. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I do prefer to be a little stronger in the starting pitch department just to get the innings limit and the innings minimum as well as winning on the strikeouts end too.
Yeah, yeah, and you also need innings pitch as well, and you'll see that in the Baseball Life League. I believe the innings limit that you need to read, the minimum is 15, I think. It's either 12 and a half or 15, I forget. If it were up to me, I crank that sucker up to like 20, just because I think you could reach that limit, even on a semi-weekly league. I think those numbers are attainable if you just pay attention. This league has three starting pitching, plus a wild card at pitching slot. The other league has four starting pitching slots and one wild card. So theoretically speaking, you can have five starting pitchers to try to get to those 15 innings limits. So for here, because we have three starting pitchers and one pitching wild card, I think the innings limit is like 11, I believe, or 10. So if you're banking on the idea that I can just trust on my relievers to get me from matchup to matchup, well, I still believe that starting pitching should be a higher priority than relief pitching. And if that's the case, I'm going to lean on you and Angel to help me out and figure out how much more innings pitch the minimum should be from matchup to matchup. And again, semi-weekly league, but yeah, it's still doable if you just pay attention. And we definitely want starting pitching to be priority over relief pitching because yeah, obvious for obvious reasons, right? The volume is there and the quality of it's a harder thing to do to throw 5 innings as opposed to 1 inning. Not to undermine relievers because they do an important job too, but there's just so many more of them and only a smaller pool of starting pitchers to get. That's why I'm encouraging that. But again, speaking of commissioners, big thank you to you and Angel for you guys were so instrumental in getting this league kicked off the right way. And I had I knew that you were a good selection to be my commissioner. But then somewhere along the line, I realized, I might need one more guy. And Angel stepped up to the plate, and we make a great team together. So I thank you and Angel for helping me out, getting this new league started, and going through all the hiccups and all the little bugs that were that were imminent throughout this draft, and also getting getting rallying the troops together, which is like, as you know, Noah, the first thing I told you was don't think about it as trying to do anything too technical or trying to kind of make sure that everybody's lineups is set. Think about it more of as a customer service situation, and you obviously went with it and helped immensely in that regard. So I do thank you for that. So much appreciate your help as well as Angel. Um, but anyway, let's see. Any team that you want to look at before I move on to someone else?
Uh, no one really specific.
All right.
If you got someone else you want to look at.
Yeah, let's look at my team. It's my show. Let's look at my team. And I do apologize if you guys are listening, and I don't think I'm going to get to all the teams. It's already an hour and some change in on this episode. I don't want to stay up too long. I haven't eaten yet, so I want to get this out the way and do something different. And I thank Noah for chiming in. I didn't realize you were going to stay here the whole time, so I do thank you for showing up and providing some feedback and some insight as well. So I'll quickly go through my team. I mean, I just went through the first four. I mentioned Wyatt Langford, Devin Williams. I was happy to get. Just because I think he's going to have a big season. Just like I talk about Paul Goldschmidt, something about going to the Yankees, better team. Uh, the offense isn't all the way there, so I think they're gonna use the crap out of Devin Williams this year, and I am here for that. Pablo Lopez and Tyler Glasnow back to back, and you know what? Let's go. Let's get this show on the road. Why was I so angry about the 10th round? So in the ninth round, here we are. In the eighth round, I went Pablo. Sorry, I'm going too fast here. I picked my first starting pitcher in the seventh round with Pablo Lopez, and then in the eighth round, I followed up with Tyler Glasnow. In the ninth round, there were so many ways to go. I'm a big believer in Junior Caminero. Is this gonna be my Achilles heel? What we'll see how it goes. But I was blown away by how mature his hitting approach was and how explosive he was at the same time. Even though I already have Rafael Devers at third base, I could not bypass Junior Caminero, especially with the Rays fan next to me in Angel Morales, my tri-commissioner, my and you know occasional podcast partner as well. So that was the mindset. But as the draft moved on in the ninth round, I started noticing that a lot of teams already had, you know, two or at the very least three or four starting pitchers. Okay. I look around and I see a run on hitters. And I figured that if I can survive Melvin not picking Zach Gallen, there's a really good chance that I can get Zach Gallen. And as mentioned to you before, in the first nine rounds, I felt like I got every player that I wanted. Every player that I wanted, I got. Sure, in the sixth round, I did not get Ozzy Albies. It's okay. It's a nice to have, but it wasn't a must have. I ended up with Devin Williams anyway, which was a player that I was coveting anyway. So I'm good. So far so good. Everything's running copacetic. I'm happy. And then you get to the 10th round. Melvin goes with Lawrence Butler. No one else goes with a pitcher in this 10th round. I'm really liking my chances here. I'm at like 99% sure I'm going to get Zach Gallen, which would give me a formidable starting rotation of Pablo Lopez, Tyler Glasnow, Zach Gallen. I'm happy here. But Angels decides, no, I need a fourth pitcher. I'm gonna get a fourth pitcher, even though there's like a lot of hitting positions I need to fill out. I'm gonna get a fourth starting pitcher because I'm a greedy bastard, and that, as you can see, I'm just talking about it is making me angry. And I go Phil Hellmuth. By the way, did you even know who Phil Hellmuth was before I even mentioned him today? You're in Las Vegas. You should know who Phil
Nope.
Hellmuth is. How the hell do you not know who Phil Hellmuth is? Anyway,
I don't pay attention to stuff like that.
anyway, for those who don't know, Phil Hellmuth is a world-renowned poker player, but he's also one of the most easily agitated guys, and he you guys think I'm mean when I do these draft recaps. I'm mean on your teams. Phil Hellmuth takes that to another level in poker, in terms of poker. And if he's, you know, if he spots a player doing winning because he's more lucky than good, he'll call it out. And stuff like that pisses him off. And you know, there's a term in poker called going full tilt. Which means that you go full tilt. That means you're doing a lot of things based on emotion. You're seeing red. You're super angry. You just lost $10,000 on the last hand, and even though you had like pocket aces, and the other guy wins because he got us straight on the river, and that you're full tilt. You're angry. I call it going full. I call it going full Phil Hellmuth because Phil. That's my name. That's my American name. Phil Felipe. Phil. So there's already a connection there, but this guy's rants are so legendary that any little thing agitates him. It's going full Phil Hellmuth. They should just rename it that instead of going full tilt. So I'm in that process. I'm in that phase. I am angry. I'm seeing red. I'm not seeing clearly. Even after I take a 20-minute walk or a 20-minute break from the draft, I'm still pissed off. And I don't even know if me getting Matt McClain was the right pick. But that is the draft pick I made, and my backup plan was Jake Flaherty. Okay, if I can't get Zach Gallen, I'll definitely get Jake Flaherty in the next round. Nope, wrong, wrong. So that's why I was angry, and even me getting Spencer Strollenbach in the 11th round, it did not sit well with me. I was really angry. I was angry for those first 2 or 3 rounds after that fact. After Zach Gallen got picked, I was really angry. But that was a turning point. After that 10th round, and I don't know if you felt that with the same way I did. Obviously, you didn't feel the exact same way, but I want to ask you about the 10th round. Do you feel like after the 10th round, all bets were off? Folks were just making adjustments left and right, and it just became extremely unpredictable. Did you feel it that way, or was it just me because I was like full tilt around this time? What do you think?
Yeah, I kind of felt as we got into the later rounds, it got pretty unpredictable what players were going to go because obviously seemed like people weren't going just based off the ranking.
Or ADP, right?
Uh, yeah, they were going. They were kind of filling in needs they felt they needed for their teams, regardless on where they were ranked.
Yeah, and after a while, I mean, like I said, I always say that cheat sheets because I used to be those guys. Oh, my cheat sheets are my cheat sheets. I used to take it as Bible. I worked so hard in the off season. But nowadays, I always say like, don't use your cheat sheet as Bible. It's a guide. Use it as a guide. But even then, after a while, I threw out the fact that okay, player X has been going in the 16th round. I think I can wait until the 16th round. Oops, no, he went in the 13th round. And a lot of reaching going on. But like you mentioned, I think there's just so many positions to fill out, so many players to draft. And it took me a while to realize it. But yeah, after a while, I said, the hell with the rankings, the hell with ADP. If I have a guy that I want, I'm going to get him. So as you can see, in the 12th round, I did get Alcantara. I still don't know if I'm angry or not, but I might as well get Alcantara and give myself a formidable foursome at starting pitching. Zach Neto is a guy I've been coveting. Tyler Stevens is a guy I've been coveting. Austin Wells definitely is a catcher I've been coveting. I've been bragging about him for a while now. Even as far as back last season, I've been like telling people, get Austin Wells, get Austin Wells. Josh Lowe is a guy I've been wanting as my fourth outfielder. Jackson Holiday is a guy I've been wanting as a middle infielder. Ryan Mountcastle in the 18th round. I know well, Felipe, that's late. Yeah, but I'm not gonna take any more chances. I'm gonna get him. Although we did talk about how there was all these other first basemen that were drafted before Ryan Mountcastle, but that was my choice. Robbie Ray, yeah, maybe I can get him in the 20th round. I'm not gonna take any chances. I'm getting him in the 19th round. So a lot of reaching going on by me, but instead of thinking about, okay, there's a group of players at every position. I think I can wait on certain players. I said, no, nuts to that. I'm gonna move these players all the way up. I'm not gonna take any more chances. If the price is right and if the need is there and if the position is uh, readily available, I'm getting those guys. I'm not even thinking about ADP. I'm not thinking about rankings. I'm not thinking about projections. These are the guys that I want. I'm gonna get them. And like Kate Smith. Kate Smith was going undrafted in many leagues, right? And even on my mock drafts, I was getting him super late, like after the 26th round, maybe in the back, in the 28th, 29th to 30th rounds when I was practicing this stuff. I said, F that. I'm getting him right now as my third relief pitcher, and I think he's my third relief pitcher. No, he's my second relief pitcher. I said, no, screw that. I'm not waiting. I want him now. Yes, there is a long list of relief pitchers out there, but I'm done. I'm gonna get him. That's the guy I've been wanting for a while. I'm gonna get him right now. I'm not waiting anymore. So that's the one thing I will say that the 10th round did to me was I went from being patient and the whole thing I do is when everybody zigs, I zag. I said, screw that. I have a list of players that I want, God damn it, and those are the players I'm gonna get. Did you adopt something similar? I know we saw your team already, but I don't know if I mean, were you really targeting guys like Ronaldo Lopez, Luis Severino, Andy Andy Rodriguez? Wow, I thought he's still alive. Did you switch it up there like I did, or did you just you know take what the defense was giving you, for lack of a better analogy there?
At that point in the draft, I was kind of trying to just fill out starting pitching depth with Lopez and Severino and Schmidt because I remember I think the one of the podcast episodes you did with Angel before the draft started, you guys had one of you guys commented that you need quite a bit of starting pitching depth to get through these leagues.
Yeah,
So I kind of
yeah,
remembered that.
yeah. Good job paying attention there. I commend you for that. And especially in the baseball life league, because it's just there's just more starting pitchers to fill out. This league you can kind of get away with not doing as much, but yeah, it's a semi-weekly league. You don't. It's not like a weekly league where I'm good with these pitchers and I'll be fine. No, you need to set up lineup for Monday through Thursday, and then again you got to set your rotation for Friday through Sunday. So it's the best of both worlds, right? It's not a daily league, it's not a weekly league, but it's somewhere in the middle. And you gotta set and you still have that, set for the long term, but also set for the immediate as well. It's the best of both worlds, I think. I know it's been kind of hard to convince you, but you're gonna test it out for the first time in both leagues, by the way. So yeah, you're gonna need
Yeah.
a lot of pitchers. Like did you have a number in mind? Like how many starting pitchers were you targeting in this draft?
I think maybe between 6 and 8. I
Mm.
kind of had a hard time trying to figure out if there was like a strategy to picking starting pitchers depending on where they're at in their team's rotation because
How
of
many?
the semi-weekly thing. I wasn't sure if I should pick a couple guys that are like in the back end of rotations or if I should pick all aces or 1, 2 guys. Wasn't too sure on that. I
Yeah,
kind of just
that
decided
is the
and went with
old
what I
age.
did.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I was gonna say that is the old age question there in this league, and the other, even in the baseball league that you're a part of now. That's the one thing that people struggle with. Like, should I draft a lot of SP ones and twos, or should I concentrate on SP fives as well? And I mean, ultimately, talent wins out, but at the same time, you just can't draft every single pitcher because then you got 20 hitting slots to fill out, right? So you can't just focus on pitchers because your offense is going to fail.
Right.
So it's kind of a mixed bag. I think you did a good job for someone who hasn't done this before. You got your eight starting pitchers, which I think eight is a nice number. I think having eight is a nice number. Having more is always better, obviously. So I think in this league I was targeting nine. And a little secret of mine, I think in the other league, I still target 10 starting pitchers just because you never know. And I've been telling the commissioners, I think we should drop it down to three starting pitching slots and having that wild card, but they don't want to do that. So no one else has said anything about it. So we'll keep four starting pitchers. But yeah, you'll see in that other league, it is damn near impossible to fill out your rotation from a matchup to matchup basis. But you'll learn. It's a baptism by fire, and that's the best way to learn. But how many did I end up with? Not including minor leaguers. So one, two, three. Although Manaya is hurt, but I can get away with it in this league though, right? Because it's just a volume thing. We don't need as many starting pitchers. So one, two. So I'll count Manaya as well. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine. Yeah, nine. That's the number I wanted. And if you take away Mania, that's eight. So four for the first matchup, four for the next matchup. Assuming that it works out like that. Obviously, it won't. I'm gonna have to pick a pitcher and waiver wire just because that's the name of the game. But you know, now I'm glad you paid attention and that you were trying to account for that because I don't know how. An Angel told me he's doing six, like six. All right. I mean, I'm kind of, you know for a damn fact that you don't need six, that you need more than that. But even when he did the mock draft, I think he realized, oh crap, I do need more than six starting pitchers. Anyway, the other thing I wanted to focus on was Carlos's team. Like I kind of joked about that he kind of just mimics everybody. And at first, I think I told you, okay, maybe it's in my head because um, Tyler would end up mimicking him in the fourth round, getting the Padres player, and I think I copy him too in the third round with getting a Red Sox player after he got a Red Sox player. But look at this, man. In the sixth round, I get Devin Williams. He then selects Mason Miller, relief pitcher. Okay, maybe coincidental. Alex in the seventh round and Tyler in the seventh round also go back to back outfielders. So he goes outfielder. Like, okay, maybe it's coincidental. I go Tyler Glasnow in the eighth round. He gets Will Smith, Dodgers catcher, in the eighth round as well. In the ninth round, he goes
Mm.
with a homer pick, so not too shabby there. But not the theme there. It doesn't hold water, I should say. But then I get a middle infielder in the 10th round, the infamous 10th round. He gets a middle infielder in Bo Bichette in the 10th round. That didn't happen in the 11th round. But let's see what happens in the 12th round. I get a pitcher. He gets a pitcher. I got Sandy Alcantara. He gets Seth Lugo, the former Mets player. Lane. Oh my God, this one. This is where I started thinking. Okay, he's definitely mimicking people here. Tyler goes Lane Thomas, speedy center fielder. He picks a speedy center fielder and Pete Crow Armstrong. Are you with me so far, Noah, or am I making too much of a big deal here?
I can kind of see it a little bit. Can see what you mean.
Okay, there's nothing happening in the 14th and 15th round, uh, or the 16th round. Although, yeah, I'm kicking myself that I didn't get a chance to get Matt Shaw. I might regret this one later, but I really
He
like Josh Lowe. Go ahead.
I don't know how serious he was, but I know he offered me Matt Shaw for Sprout.
I think he's very
Uh,
serious. Make him that offer and dare him
he
to
might be
decline it.
he's got to be second place homer after me with
I
this
think so.
draft.
I think so too. I think so too. Yeah, without even looking at it, I think he has the second most homer picks here. Without even looking at it, I think I have the least amount of homer picks in this league. Do I have any White Sox players or Cubs players at all? Let me double check.
There's not
It's
really any White Sox worth drafting unless you're taking
the
one of their
minor leaguers.
prospects.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Oh wow, no Cubs or White Sox players once again for me. Former White Sox prospect Fernando Tatis, does that count? Anyway, let's see. Is there any other example like that? 'Cause I thought there was a lot more than that, but I guess not. Not really. Okay, so yeah, but as we talked about, after the 10th or maybe even 15th round, all hell broke loose. Oh, here we go. I get Carlos Rodon, left-handed starting pitcher. He gets a left-handed starting pitcher in Iguodala, but I can't fault him too much because then Tyler does the same thing with Brandon Pfaadt. So even then, I can't, you know, really go after him in that regard. Uh, I get Garrett Mitchell of the Milwaukee Brewers. He gets Joey Ortiz of the Milwaukee Brewers. I'm telling you, man, I should call him Morph. The X-Men. You know who I'm talking about? Morph.
I think so.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I think you know who I'm talking about. And oh yeah, this one hurt. He got Luis Acuna, man. I'm really kicking myself because I've been targeting Luis Acuna in every single one of my mock drafts, and I struck out on him. But yeah, I get Sean Manaea, Mets pitcher. He gets Luis Acuna, Mets prospect. So anybody else? Okay, then I copied him. He gets Ryan Weathers, Marlins starting pitcher. I get Agustin Ramirez, Marlins catching prospect. So maybe, oh, okay, then he does it again. Oh, no, no, he starts the trend here in the 28th round. Michael Conforto, and then Tyler and Alex follow up with Luke Rayleigh and Willie Abreu. Oh, no wonder my thing's not scrolling down anymore. That's it. That's the end of the draft, 30th round. So, all right, so maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit too much there with Carlos's team, but I like to imagine that he really did go out of his way to kind of mimic the draft picks, the draft selections that were picking before him. So, um, let's see. Anybody else? I think I remember looking at Melvin's team. I did like his team a lot. He waited for outfielder, so he ends up with Mike Trout, Lawrence Butler, Jurickson Profar. What do you think of that trio there?
That's not a bad outfit at all, especially if he could get lucky and have a healthy season from Mike Trout. That's a pretty solid outfield, especially you get an outfield like that late in the draft.
And he did a marvelous job picking his starting pitchers. I mean, we talked about Skeens, Cease, and then Jacob deGrom, who basically is being described. Paul Skeens is basically being described as a young version of Jacob deGrom. If deGrom stays healthy, he might just shatter records and strikeout numbers this year from his top three starting pitchers. And even though he did focus early and often on starting pitchers, he still has a pretty damn good hitting lineup. So he's a defending champion, and I think, and he got Josh Hader. There's a good chance that he put himself in a good spot to defend his championship. Once again, Jake Berger at first base, or what was he doing? Yeah, at the very least, as a corner infielder, pretty damn good too. I'm not the biggest Jake Berger fan, but this year I kind of gotten I've opened myself to having a Jake Berger on my team. It didn't happen, but there's that. Don't like his catchers though. Shea Langeliers and Connor Wong. That might be the worst catching duo in this league easily. But I don't know. Maybe when I take a step back, maybe I'll find out that there's worse ones out there. Actually, yeah, maybe Robert's team with Jonah Heim and Ivan Herrera. That might be the worst of the bunch there. If you see one that might be worse than Jonah Heim and Ivan Herrera, just shout it out when you get a chance. But yeah, I actually like Melvin's team, and I think we're in trouble here, guy. With this guy, I should say. I think we're in deep, deep trouble with his team. What do you think? Upon a quick glance here,
Yeah, it definitely looks like it for sure with a lot of his top picks there. I think he could be pretty dangerous.
Zach Geloff. Why didn't anybody pick Zach Geloff? Why didn't you pick Zach Geloff? Why do you hate him so much?
I had him last year,
Yeah, how'd
and
that work out?
he was very disappointing last year.
What was it?
He struck out a lot and like
Hmm.
just there was like a what looked like a big decline. I don't know if he was playing through an injury or what, but I feel like see just like I know batting average is everything, but the OBP too that dropped quite a bit.
And the slugging, and the slugging
I mean,
too.
struck out 188 times to a tune
Yuck,
of 38 walks.
yuck.
That's
And yet,
100 more strikeouts than the previous year. That's a huge red flag.
but that's him. That's what the same thing I was calling out coming into the 2024 drafts. The same things I was warning people: do not get Zach. People were saying Zach Geller was what do you call it? A franchise player for the Oakland Athletics. And I used to get a lot of flack for this. If Zach Geloff is a franchise player for your team's in deep trouble. Like, oh, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. He had a great season last year, 14 home runs, 14 stolen bases, and part-time work, 337 on base percentage. Like, and everybody's striking out a bunch. Who cares if he strikes out a bunch? Well, what happened? Well, he got exposed. He got exposed. Easy as pie. Like he home run output was almost identical, even though he had like double the at bats. You mentioned the strikeouts, and all the rate stats fell down the wayside. And I try warning people: do not get Zach Galloff this year in 2024, going into 2024 drafts. In 2025, however, I was open to getting Zach Galloff. Why? Because he was going so cheap, and he's still a potential 2020 guy, 20 home runs, 20 stolen base guy. So that is enough. But I was getting ready to draft him. I had him ranked as my 14th best second baseman. But I was ready to draft him, but I changed my mind at the end. I just said, this is a guy who strikes out too much, and his rate stats are going to falter. Like the batting average is low. I don't think he's 211 bad, but I could definitely see him hitting for 235 with a on base percentage of like 310. And as you know, if you know me or if you've noticed me or not, one thing I for sure is I covet on base percentage a lot. And if you're not getting if you're not meeting a minimum threshold, I don't want you on my team. Now this year I made some concessions this year. Like I've in the other league, you notice that I got CJ Abrams despite his low on base percentage. So I've been trying to be more open to the fact that maybe you don't have the skill set to have a high on base percentage, but I respect that you can get 25 home runs and 25 steals. Zach Gellof's the same way. I just couldn't pull the trigger with him. But Melvin getting him in the 30th round is such a steal for anyone, and he's the one who pulled the trigger. So that's Melvin's team. Quickly going, we started the show with Alex's team. I want to give everybody a fair shake here. I like the Tristan Casas pick, the Mark Vientos pick. What do
I
you
don't
think
think
about
we
Mark?
talked about Angel too much.
Yeah, I think so too.
I don't think we talked. Yeah, I don't think we covered his team all
Oh,
too much besides his first pick.
no, we did talk about Angel's team. Or we did talk
Did
about.
we?
You know what? I don't know anymore. Screw
Oh,
him. He
we
kept
talked
stealing
about
all
his
my
pitching.
players. He kept stealing all my players, man. Kept stealing all my players. Screw that guy. But all right, well, we'll get to Angels after the 10th. What did he do? Because I wasn't impressed by Angels' team, unfortunately. Surprisingly enough, yeah, he kept sniping me here and there, but the rest of it was like kind of meh, kind of mid, as the kids would say. Up or down on Mark Vientos? Yes or no? This year?
Yeah, I feel like be pretty good this year. I don't know a whole lot about him, but I know Carlos seems to be excited about him.
Yeah, well, the Mets
And those
fans.
New York fans are always hard on their players.
Yeah, yeah, the Mets fans. Oh yeah, they're very critical of their players. Yeah, right. Like they have the biggest pom poms on them. I respect the Mets fans in our group, but come on, even those guys they're like Mets players can't do any wrong unless you're what the hell's his name? The guy who used to be the Cubs, the fat guy. Can I use that word fat anymore? Not Schollenbach. Schollenbach's on my team, but Vogelbach, Dan Vogelbach.
Oh yeah.
They hate him.
Yeah.
They hate basically if you're an ex-Cubs players, they don't like you. They hate Javier Baez too. So anyway, so yeah, no Mets players can do anything wrong with Mets fans apparently. I like that Alex picked a lot of my starting pitchers from last year. I had Bryce Miller and a lot of my teams last year. Bailey Over, Brian Wu, Bowden Francis ended up making one of my teams late in the year. So it's a sneaky starting pitching. It's very sneaky starting pitching. I'll give him that. George Kirby, he decides I'm going to take a chance on him, and yeah, let's face it, we were all thinking about that, right? We were all thinking about getting George Kirby sometime late, and he got
Yeah.
him there. I got a lot of Pete Fairbanks in a lot of my mock drafts. I couldn't get him in this draft. I got a lot of AJ Puck in a lot of my mock drafts, so kudos for him. Um, Brendan Donovan is, I'm surprised he got him because that's more of an Ivan Lopez pick than a Alex pick, but I'll commend him for that. Logan O'Hoppe, but then he pairs him up with Patrick Bailey as his two catchers. Ooh, yeah, not a fan, not a fan. He matches Connor Norby. He already has a high yielding strikeout guy in Mark Vientos with Connor Norby, but he's former Orioles prospect, so Alex is gonna bank on that, being an Orioles fan. Spencer Arrighetti on Alex's team. I had Arrighetti on a lot of my teams last year as well. Reese Olson is a guy I love and I've had on my teams over the last couple of years before he became a thing. So of course, I feel like Alex and I are on the same telepathic wavelength here. So anyway, that's Alex's team. Might as well talk about Tyler's team while we're at it. How many homer picks did he get just to make things fun here? Bryce Harper is one. JT Realmuto is two. Uh, I thought there was more. Jeff Hoffman. No, that was last year. Do we count Jeff Hoffman? Yes or no?
I mean, yeah, I think so. If you're counting Schwarber for me, who hasn't played on the Cubs in like 6 years, you can count Hoffman.
Fair. All right. That's three. Andrew Painter, four. And that might be it. Yeah, that's it. Okay, so it wasn't as bad as I thought it was. Chris Sale, Max Fried, Jack Flaherty. That's a lot of years there at starting pitching. A lot of years. Who else did he get at starting pitching? Kevin Gossman. Wow. Oh, lots of years under the belts there, collective belts. And then Brandon Pfaadt is a new guy, right? Andrew
Yep.
Painter going with the recovering highly touted prospect there. Brandon Woodruff. Okay, that's a little too risky, but again, lots of years under their belts, right? And then Andre Palante. Not a fan of his pitching staff, but I can see why he'd go the veteran route. And I don't know, it's kind of like the same way we were talking about Bob's hitters. What do you think of getting Tyler getting a lot of veteran pitchers for his starting rotation there?
Yeah, it's definitely not a bad thing to go with because most veteran guys, you're usually thinking they'll probably get to around 180 innings, which is the current benchmark for
Yeah.
most 1-2 guys in the league. So
And
definitely can't knock that.
and to to take it easy on the guy, sometimes, like I always say on the shows, sometimes older is better at starting pitching. Sometimes, not always, but sometimes. Is this the best trio of outfielders? Aaron Judge, Seiya Suzuki, and Randy Arozarena, or is there too many question marks for your liking here? Lane Thomas is
Uh,
number four, by the way.
you're
Lane
you're
Thomas.
asking if it's the best outfield trio?
Well, I guess that's not fair to you because you'll have to take a look at everybody else. But well, I guess just general thoughts about that trio, and if you want to include Lane Thomas as the fourth outfielder, what do you think of that outfield in general terms?
Oh, I'm not too crazy about Randy, to be honest.
If I do have a bias, it is for Team Mexico, and that is my captain you're speaking of there. But I agree, one of the streakiest hitters I've ever witnessed in fantasy in my life, easily. When he,
Also, sorry,
go ahead,
go
go ahead,
ahead.
go ahead, bud.
I was saying Seattle's kind of, for a lot of hitters, Seattle seems to be the place where offense dies.
Ask Julio
S-
Rodriguez. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna mention that, but I'm glad you did because sometimes I'm a little biased with that stuff as well. But I guess that's if you're saying it, that means it's consensus thinking as well. So, and that ironically enough, they moved in the fences like 12 years ago or something like that, and it still hasn't yielded a lot of offense. Great pitching staff though, seriously. But
Yeah.
well, as we saw Justin Turner say, yeah, I think they need a little. They need to do a little bit more than signing me as one of their guys. So yeah, so Tyler has a pretty good offense. Good decent infield. Xander Bogaerts at middle infield. I guess yeah, that's not too shabby if he's your middle infielder. It doesn't cost you too much. We already talked about Yandy Diaz as well. Michael Garcia, kind of like the opposite of Zach Geloff, right? But Garcia it has more skill set than Geloff does. And you're getting pretty much the same output. Well, maybe not the home runs, but definitely the steals. Definitely
For sure.
the on base percentage are
Ooh,
definitely identical, and that's the reason I didn't get them.
I think
But
that's why I avoided him too. The on
obviously
base percentage.
the stolen bases are always a thing, and 27 doubles. Yeah, well, so he has pop on his bat. He definitely
Yeah.
has pop in his bat, but I don't know. I'm a little wary of him with the low on base percentage. And I mean, he's proven that he can get a high on base percentage, but it's as you can see, it's been declining as well. It's just
Yeah.
been declining overall. Anyway, that's Michael Garcia. Other than that, I'm not thrilled with his starting pitching. I did get a little bit mad when he got Jeff Hoffman, so a little mini scene red there, going full tail on my end, but not too much. But Joan Duran, Jeff Hoffman, and Justin Martinez as a trio of relievers. I don't know where the holds are coming from, but I guess you'll worry about that later. So pitching is a little bit of a question mark, not this from a saves aspect, but definitely from a holds aspect, and starting pitching as well. We made fun of Carlos for kind of mimicking, but the team itself. Let's see, Juan Soto, Jaron Durant, Michael Harris, and then PCA at outfield. That's pretty good, right? You will agree with that much. That's a pretty darn good outfield, right?
Yeah, that's a pretty good outfield. Of course, you're not sure exactly what you're gonna get from PCA outside of stolen bases, but I do like Michael Harris and who was his other guy for outfield?
The fourth PCA, sorry, Juan
Oh,
Soto and Jaron
oh
Duran.
yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, I do like Jaron Duran quite a bit. I don't think I was able to get him in any leagues, but I know he's a big doubles machine and will get you stolen bases as well.
Yeah. Playing in
So I
Boston
like him quite
helps.
a bit.
Yeah. Team Mexico all the way there too. The starting rotation, a lot of risk there. Garrett Coquet, comes with injury concerns. Michael King comes with like, is he really a top of the rotation guy? Is he really an ace? Uh, you know, is he someone that you can trust as one of the early pitchers going on? Hunter Green, injury and performance issues. Yeah, and he's one. We talked about Randy Rosarena. Hunter Green is like that as a starting pitcher, like one of the streakiest guys I've ever witnessed in my from that position, right? And Kodai Senga also comes with injury concerns. Seth Lugo might be the safest pick there, as a,
For sure.
but I think that's the problem with Lugo is the strikeouts or lack thereof. Sometimes, let me see, what did he do last
Nope,
year? Yeah, 181 strikeouts and 206 innings pitched. Nowadays, yeah, that you would consider that to be on the low mark, right?
for sure, yeah.
Yeah, let's see. Let me double check that. No, no, we know it is. I'm not even gonna double check. It's maybe 7 or 8 strikeouts per 9 inning when guys are going 9, 10 sometimes per 9 innings. So, Bo Bichette and
You know,
not a fan.
talking
Go
about
ahead.
talking about starting pitching, I'm honestly not the biggest fan of the starting pitching that you picked for your
How
team, to be
how
honest.
how dare you, sir? How dare you? Well, I know that's a concern. I'll admit Tyler Glasnow is a concern, but yeah, high
Yeah.
risk, high reward. Spencer Strollenbach, medium risk, high reward. But again, that was my C red moment, and I was hoping to get Zach Gallen. This would have looked a lot better with Zach Gallen, but instead I went with Spencer Strollenbach, who was in a lot of my leagues last year, and he did pretty damn good. Did pretty damn good. But again, he's only this is going to be his second year in the league, and I think that would be considered his first full season because I don't think he would. What he did last year was that counting as full. Is 21 starts a full season? I mean, he got over 100 innings pitched. Do you consider that a full season? Yes or no?
I'm pretty sure that would qualify him for rookie of the year votes. So yeah.
Okay, so he's going into his second full season, and there's always a risk of sophomore slump. I don't believe in sophomore slump, but I do believe in, lack of adjustments. But I think the Braves do a good job with their pitchers. So
I think he could be a good starting pitcher value pick for you where you took him.
I'm more excited about Sandy Alcantara, which is a guy I
Oh yeah.
always avoided, but it sounds like he's doing a bang up job, especially when I drafted him and people were heralding him as he is back. He's throwing like in the high 90s, and let's see, he gave up two unearned runs, so that's not even his fault. He struck out three in 2 2/3 innings. And like I said, the Marlins, I thought I saw something that the Marlins are not gonna put a limit on hit. Yeah, Miami's ace would not face a hard innings limit in 2025. That's according to the manager.
Okay.
So, and he has an 8-2, well, it should be 4-1 strikeout to walk ratio, which is really damn good. And eight strikeouts in 8 1/3 innings. That's better than what he did the last time he was healthy. Former Cy Young winner, throwing in the high 90s, coming back from Tommy John surgery. Looks great in spring. So yeah, the other pitchers, Robbie Ray. Oh, come on, dude. I will agree that walks are a concern, but compared to everybody else that I had in my rankings there, I moved them up on my cheat sheet on the fly just because he was doing pretty well. And then you look
Oh,
at what
that
he
ERA.
don't worry about the ERA, man. Don't worry about the
That's
ERA.
so high.
Where is it? Oh, I hate this. He plays for the Giants, so that's a good thing. He plays for the Giants. And he was coming back from Tommy John surgery. But look at some of these games that a little bit of a window here. 9 strikeouts in 6 2/3 innings against the White Sox. Oh, that's just the White Sox. Okay. 7 strikeouts in 6 innings pitch against the Tigers. 9 strikeouts in Cincinnati in 5 innings. And in his third
That's a young
start.
Cincinnati team.
Okay, well, it's still a home run paradise. It's a hitter friendly ballpark.
True,
And
true.
in his debut against the mighty Dodgers, 8 strikeouts and 5 innings pitched. Small sample size, and again, control will always be a problem with him.
Right.
And and but former he won Cy Young with the Blue Jays one time, right?
Yep, that was I think like it was either Toronto or Seattle. It might have been Seattle.
Okay, that sounds familiar. Either way, he plays on a gargantuan ballpark, one of the friendliest, if not the friendliest ballpark in all the land. Still has potential for high strikeout. Looked very good in flashes last year, coming back from Tommy John surgery. So that's good. And then Carlos Rodon, I mean, at the very least, he's going to give me wins. Yeah, and he'll heal high strikeouts too, right? Because it's Carlos Rodon. And he looked pretty healthy last year to me. 195 strikeouts in 175 innings pitch. Who says no to that? Not me. I can tell you that
You
much.
just you're just concerned with him as his health as well.
And also playing at Yankee Stadium as well, obviously. But I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
175 innings. Hopefully that this starts a trend. I'm hoping that starts a new trend for him. Because as a White Sox fan, it was very frustrating to watch him play. Because he has all. I mean, look at this in 2022 with the Giants, 237 strikeouts and 170 innings pitch on a bad team. Great
Yeah.
ballpark. That's what I see in Robbie Ray. This could be Robbie Ray again. Who says no to
Could be.
that? No, no. Let's be positive. Let's be positive here. Let's see.
I wasn't
Kate's,
crazy
go ahead.
about Pablo Lopez. You didn't really go over him, but I'm not too high on him,
Uh,
especially what I've seen from last year.
that's the safest choice. And what's there to hate about him last year? Why do people hate Pablo Lopez? Is it the home runs, the ERA? But everybody's
All
giving up
of
a lot of home
it.
runs. The ERA, okay, as you can see, it fluctuates. Okay, Okay, it fluctuates. The whip is consistent, my
A lot
friend.
of hits.
Yeah, a lot of strikeouts too, from a lot of strikeouts too.
Strikeouts are a little higher than I remember seeing that, but yeah,
Yeah, he's one of the most underrated starting
whip's kind of
pitchers.
high.
What, for him? 1.192 is a high whip,
A little bit, not terrible though.
my friend.
ERA and the home runs, I think, are.
My friend. Please don't do this to me.
I
I don't want to
would have
call you
almost
out.
taken Gallon over him.
Well, I mean, Gallon came with his own red flags, but
True.
yeah. Where's the whip here? Okay. On the other screen, I'm gonna bring I didn't want to do this. I didn't want to do this, but these are the ATC projections, right? For this, what the hell? Oh, okay. I thought I saw some hitter there, but no. There's a whip right here. And usually, if you've been paying attention to this podcast, red is extremely good. If it's orange, it's above average, slight above average to immensely above average. Anything yellow is just average. Green is below average. Blue is just terrible. Okay? With me so far? Yes.
Yep.
Alrighty. So a 1.19 whip is slightly above average. There it is. 1.19 whip. Slightly above average in these
Okay.
projections. Okay? Okay. I'm not saying this to kind of like downplay you or anything or to
Right.
I'm just showing you what my thought process is. And there's Carlos Rodon, my guy. Last year he had a 1.23 whip, which is I guess it's pretty high nowadays, but he's projected to go below that. Why? I don't know. Despite the 4.11 FIP, which I always put bigger stock on than the ERA, but this is a red flag for sure. I will agree with you on that one. But I'll take the double digit strikeouts per nines, the below three walk per nine, and the nearly 3-to-1 ratio along with the 1.19 whip on my team, especially late in the draft. Yeah, especially late in the draft. I think I got him in the 22nd round if I remember correctly. Um, but anyway, Pablo Lopez is projected to get a 1.16 whip, which is good enough for top 30, I guess. I guess he's tied with 27th place, but good enough for top 30. Guys like Sonny Gray, Shane McClanahan, Nick Pavetta, Corbin Burns, those guys are good too. So yeah, I one of the most underrated players. I think it's because he plays with the Twins. I will see the fact that the ERA is a little higher than some of his peers around this area, right? But forget the ERA. You can't control the ERA. You can't control it. It's just not a predictable measure. You can predict strikeouts.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're with me so far. I'm not boring you, am I? I know when I bust up the
No, no.
spreadsheet, I get a little wary that I might be boring my audience and my podcast partners. But this is my thought process, and I don't use this as Bible there, Noah. But I gotta make a
Hmm.
decision. Do I believe that Pablo Lopez is a 3.55 field independent pitching? How familiar are you with FIP? What do you know about FIP?
Mm, I don't really know anything about it, to be honest.
To dumb it down, FIP is basically saying a pitcher can control. This is how much strikeouts a pitcher's getting. This is how little walks he's giving up. This is how little home runs he's giving up. These are the three things that supposedly pitchers can control, and it puts it
Okay.
in an ERA scale, right? The
Right.
3.55 ERA is basically suggesting that he should be doing a lot better than the 3.75 ERA projection by at least what is that, 2/10? At least 2/10 better than the his ERA. Another example, Luis Castillo, 365 ERA right there, right?
Hmm.
But he comes with a 378 FIP, suggesting that he's maybe about point 112, like 12 hundredths worse than his real ERA. It's a game of inches, right? It's minuscule, but still a game of inches. I guess another glaring example would be Cody Bradford, who's a pitch to contact pitcher, high ERA projected. FIP surprisingly likes him because they think he can get a 3.99 FIP. Anything below 4, you would think it's good, right? On an ERA
Right.
scale. Do you agree with that much? Okay. So they're saying that he should be better. And the reason why he should be better is because he does such a fantastic job of controlling his walks. So just to give you a background as to how these numbers are kind of calculated, this is just the dumbest way I can explain it to people, the layman's terms, right? Getting back to Pablo Lopez, I mentioned the high home runs, and which is a concern, right? Where was he? I lost him. There he is, top 30. Home runs are not that bad. 1.13, not that bad. Nestor Cortez at 1.34. Nick Pivetta playing in San Diego, 1.43, you know, projection. Boughton Francis, we just talked about him going to Alex's team, 1.52. And he might be the worst. Yeah, that's not good. These are numbers are not good. A 4.45 FIP, but we're banking on the fact that he did such a wonderful job last year at the end of the year that he's going to have to be able to repeat it, right? Projections don't believe it as far as home runs and FIP are concerned. So and even the strikeouts, 22.5% strikeout rate right here on the edge. If my stupid computer can cooperate with me, you know about my shortcomings with my computer. Uh, I
Hmm.
think he was getting close to 30% last year strikeout rate. Projections are saying, nah, well, he's going to be a full-time starter this year. We don't believe it. He's going to be mid in terms of strikeout rate. So that's what I see it. That's where I come from. You want to take a look at one of your pitchers while I'm here?
Yeah, we can.
Who's one of your pitchers? Oh, Shota Imanaga. Yeah, let's start with him. Let's start with him. Okay. Okay, 1.12 whip, right? 4.64 strikeout per walk ratio. He does a wonderful job of controlling his walks. A 390 FIP. What's his ERA? 363 ERA. So it's basically saying that he's not as good as his 363 ERA. But as you can see, it's still above average FIP,
Yeah,
right? So and a strikeout per 9 inning from a guy who is basically counting on on two pitches primarily. I believe it's the fastball and the splitter. It's not too
pretty much, yeah.
shabby. Not too shabby. What about the home runs? I know he gave up. Did he give up a big one in the series against the Dodgers?
No, it was Steele that did.
Oh, okay. Either
Imanaga
way.
didn't give up any runs against the Dodgers.
Oh, okay. Well, 1.38 home run per nine. That's higher than Pablo Lopez.
He
And
gives
yet,
up solo home runs.
yeah, that probably explains the low ERA and the low
Yeah,
walk rate explains as the whip. I don't know what the hit. Did I do a hit per nine this year? It looks like I did not. Stupid, stupid, stupid of me. Oh well. I usually do a hit per nine, but I didn't do it this year. I didn't have time. But I mean, and still, that's still better. The 24.6 strikeout rate, that's still better than Boughton Francis. So you got that going for yourself. Um, Now, if we were to, well, I don't want to. So yeah, the 1.1 to what did I say for Pablo Lopez? 1.16. It's not that far off. And you picked Shota Imanaga super early. I picked Pablo Lopez later than you. So pretty similar production, if I do say so myself. Did that convince you otherwise about Pablo Lopez, or are you still not convinced?
a little bit.
A little bit.
I,
Okay.
I think part of it was I had Pablo Lopez last year, and I don't remember him being too great for me last
Very,
year. But
I mean, I'm guilty as charged. In 2022 or 2023, I had Pablo Lopez, and I had so many injuries that I ended up dropping Pablo Lopez just because he's just so unassuming. That's the problem with him. He's so unassuming. And the rest of the year after I cut him, he just did wonderful things. And I still kick myself for doing that. Like, stupid, stupid, stupid. You got to be patient with Pablo Lopez. And you got to learn how to appreciate Pablo Lopez. Because when you're on this, it's one of those guys, you just set it and forget it, right? Oh,
right,
Pablo Lopez is there. You take it for granted. That's why he's one of the most underrated guys in all of baseball because of that. And then one more guy, Tyler Glasnow. I mean, shoot. I mean, come on. Look at all
you
that
like his
red.
numbers if he's healthy.
Look at all that red. And that's part of the risk. That's why I was able to get him in the eighth
Yeah,
round and not earlier. Otherwise, look at even in WHIP, he's a top 10 pitcher. Was he selected as a top 10 pitcher in this league? No. Was he a top 10 pitcher selected in any league? Probably not. Is he potentially a top 10 pitcher? You bet your ass he is. Easily. Anyway, enough
health
about
is my only concern with him.
uh,
Otherwise, I like his stuff.
absolutely. but that's part of the price that I paid for it. That's why I was able to get him in the eighth round. Top 10 pitcher in the eighth round. I mean, come on, who says no to that? But anyway, yeah, so that's what I'm not trying to. You may not like my pitching still, but at the very least, I want to explain where I come from in that regard.
Right.
So Nick Pivetta, I mean, he controls his walks, but you saw some of those ugly numbers. He gives up a lot of home runs, but a lot of it might have to do with his time when he was with some of those other teams that he used to play with, especially in the AL East. I think he used to be a former
Yeah.
Rays, right? I don't remember a Phillies player
He
as well.
he was with Boston, I think, for a little bit.
Yeah, those are all
I think
home
that
run
might be his
friendly,
most recent.
very hitter friendly ballparks for sure. Gavin Williams is a work in progress, but I like his upside potential. And Shamanaya is hurt. So, yeah, if you don't like that, well, that's that. Now you at least know where I was coming from. I love the strikeout potential for a lot of my guys here. I was talking about who the hell is this team? Oh, were we talking about Carlos's team? Oh yeah, yeah. So I don't like his starting pitching. The relief, at least the first four pitchers that he selected, I don't like that combination on Carlos's team. The relief pitcher, Tanner Scott, Ben Joyce, and there's one more guy. Oh, Kenley Jansen. So yeah, relief pitcher is a little bit better, but yeah, Nick Lodolo and Ryan Weathers. I like Ryan Weathers, but when you already have all of these other question marks, he really sticks out like a sore thumb. You already got Nick Lodolo, a lefty, who also comes with a lot of questions, and David Peterson. So three questionable left-handed pitchers on the same team. If you get one of those guys, it's okay. You got three question marks from that side of from that side of the hill. Left-handed side of the hill. I gotta. It's a little too questionable. Dustin May as well at the end. Pretty darn good, but that just adds
Yeah.
more question marks to a questionable starting rotation. Very risky. We'll see if it works. A lot of upside. I will give him that, but it's a little risky there. Did
Just
we?
noticed he covered himself on saves from Angels pitchers with both Joyce and Kenley.
Yeah, yeah. If he doesn't get saved from one, he's definitely gonna get the holds from the other, right? So
Yeah.
So yeah, not too shabby. It's a decent strategy there that he did with the bullpen. He was more calculated with the bullpen than he was with his starting pitch. I'll give him that much. You said we didn't talk enough about Angels team. There's a reason for that, but anyway, after the 10th round, I felt a little bit better about him being next to me. But yeah, he did steal Spencer Steer away. I was thinking of getting him in that round. Other than that, Dylan Cruz, Luis Garcia, national players. I guess Dylan Cruz is a pretty good player, but I was not targeting him in any, definitely not Luis Garcia, and definitely not in the 13th round. Like if I could wait for second baseman, I'd rather do that than get Luis Garcia. Um, Michael Talia, I don't care that he could play on the moon, and I don't want him. I don't care for him.
Me
So
neither.
yeah, Jose Barrios, what are you stole Zach Gallen from me just so you can get Jose Barrios as your fifth best starting pitcher? Get out of here with this nonsense. Well, I guess that's the risk you could take with him, right? You already have a formidable rotation. You could take a risk. Maybe that's why he took Zach Gallen because he knew he was going to take a major risk in Jose Barrios. Gleyber Torres with the Tigers? Hell no. And Alec Burleson, I feel like there was a lot of better outfielders available, right? That's how I feel. I do like the Carlos Correa pick. Carlos Correa has become one of the most underrated shortstops
I
in
was
in,
kind of
in this
hoping to
format.
get him after
Yeah.
Edwards.
Did he? Yeah, he kind of ignored. Yeah, Julio Rodriguez and Teoscar Hernandez in the first eight within the first 10 rounds, and then okay, Dylan Cruz. Okay, there's some upside there. I'll give him that. But then he got Taylor Ward as his fourth outfielder. It's okay, but Alec Burleson and JJ Bleday. I don't know. I don't know how to feel about that. I guess they're good depth pieces. Bo Naylor, I have to go back and see who else is available. But I remember looking at this and yeah, Cal Raleigh, I don't like.
You don't.
I don't like at all. It's just the cost is too high, and he comes with a lot of strikeout potential. And I will say this: I think the Mariners are gonna do a good job of kind of making him. Yeah, I think this is why I understand now why people love the guy because he could play a lot of games. And as you know, who am I talking to? No, it's late. Noah, as you know, Noah. there's a lot of split time duties at catching position nowadays. But with Cal Raleigh, he'll play first base. He'll be DH a lot because he has that power potential, right?
Yeah.
And I don't blame him, you guys, for going this route, but he's a one-dimensional player as well. He's limited because he will come with a bad batting average and bad on base percentage. Will not contribute in any other way except for home runs. He's basically Kyle Schwarber if Kyle Schwarber was a catcher. Some people would say, well, what's wrong with that? I guess there's nothing wrong with that, but he's a one-dimensional player as far as I'm concerned, and he's going for a high price. When
Schwarber gets on base better than him at least.
there you go. But the one knock on Schwarber is that he only qualifies at DH, but he also has
Yeah.
potential for 40 home runs, which 30 home runs is not shabby, but that's Kyle Schwarber's upside there. But yeah, you're right. I mean, he does come with that potential as well. The on base percentage potential, I should say. Uh, Decent walk per strikeout ratio. The strikeouts are killer, but how killer are they? Yeah, he strikes out once every three at bats as well. So you
Yeah.
know that we count for strikeouts there. So that's another reason I didn't get him. Uh, yeah. And then he pairs them up with who did I say he pairs them up with? Bo Naylor. Oh my God, Bo Naylor. As you know, I was one of the biggest Bo Naylor apologists, but I cannot over it's the same thing. He got his clone. Potentially the home runs are there, but he has not proven to be consistent in that regard. But yeah, low batting average, low on base percentage, a ton of strikeouts. He got the poor man's
Yeah.
version of Cal Raleigh. That's amazing. That's amazing. And then he got the homer pick and Danny Jansen. That might be the best pick in terms of a value pick because he didn't have to get too early for Danny Jansen. He was able to get him in the 29th round. Just kudos for him on that one. So I'm not going to knock on him too much. But the other catchers, even Bo Naylor, you can say, well, Felipe, you're nitpicking. That's the 20th. It's past the 20th round. Yeah, but you think of all the catchers that are available at this point. They have to be a little bit more consistent than Bo Naylor can show. And again, I was the biggest Bo Naylor apologist. I still believe in Bo Naylor, but I have to wait and see with him. I cannot blindly follow him anywhere he goes anymore because he will kill your even in a two catcher league, Noah, he will kill your production because he doesn't have the contact skills for it. Anyway, that's
So,
go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
with that in mind, I'm curious on your thoughts on Andy Rodriguez.
I like them, but it just feels like the Pirates have soured on him, and I think injuries have taken a toll. And at one point there was potential that he can not just be a guy who has good batting eye, good plate approach, but a guy that can develop a good hit tool. And so far, I know the injuries are there, but it hasn't proven that he can display that hit tool that was so promising when he was coming up the Pirate system. The plate approach is there, the batting eye is there, the on base potential is there. I was a big fan, but it just seems like he's on a team that has soured on him, and I would love to see him get traded to somewhere else that can appreciate his skill level because they're going with Joey Bart, who is a flame out prospect who swings at everything and high has a history of high strikeout percentage. The power potential is there with Joey Bart as well. But Andy Rodriguez has the ability to be a better version of Danny Jansen with a better hit tool and just a marvelous hit approach. Might not be the sexiest of numbers, not be the sexiest of names, but at the very least in an on-base percentage league, he has potential to post a high on-base percentage. I just don't think the Pirates believe in him anymore. I didn't even have him in any of my cheat sheets or can even consider him as a prospect or as a guy I had to have on my on that spreadsheet I just showed you on the hitting side of things. He's just nowhere to be found. So long term for you, it's a long term play. I don't think he's going to help anytime soon for you. If he's going to help anytime soon, it's probably going to be sometime in late May or even closer to the All-Star break.
Yeah, because where I was at with grabbing a second catcher, kind of felt like at that point I'd rather take a catcher that I might not play every day. That's bad because if I take a guy that's bad playing every day, he might hurt my numbers more.
Right, and that's the balance that the teetering balance that you're trying to play at catcher because people will punt catchers and say, "Well, I'll take the part-time catcher over the full-time catcher because the part-time catcher can't hurt me, but the part-time catcher maybe he won't be able to help you either because he's not getting any counting stats. Oh, well, at
Right.
least he's walking and posting a respectable on base percentage, but still, it's a lack of volume that's there too. You can get away with it only for so long, but eventually that does catch up to you because at the end of the day, it is a game of volume. That's why there's more counting stats and rate stats in this league. Because I want, the guys who play the most should be the ones who get coveted the most, right?
Right.
So that's where I'm coming from in that regard. Andy Rodriguez could still be a full-time catcher somewhere, but again, it depends how he bounces back from injuries and and if the Pirates want to believe in him or not. It doesn't look like they do. And if that's the case, they need to ship him and give him a chance to succeed somewhere else. Because along with the Pirates, the Pirates don't. Let me double check that, but I think the Pirates have options at catcher nowadays.
I think he's battling for the backup spot with Henry Davis.
Yeah, and that's another guy. That's
I think
another
Henry
guy.
Davis is struggling even more in spring training than Indy is.
Yeah, and they tried converting Henry Davis to right field for
Yep.
whatever reason, and that's a red flag as well. There's Joey Bart. There's Andy Rodriguez. So yeah, it looks like he does have the inside spot. If he can get to 345 at bats, that's a miracle. That will be a miracle in itself. What else does he bring to the table? Okay, 310 on base percentage, but I know he could do better than that if he's given the opportunity. But
Yeah.
Joey Bart is on the strong side of that. The other thing that he has going for himself, Andy Rodriguez, is that he is a switch hitting catcher, which they don't grow on trees. But just the fact that Joey Bart is at the top of that list in the starting lineup is kind of concerning. And just to take a quick look at the minor league slot, there's Henry Davis and there's Jason DeLay, who has some experience, and I would not be surprised if the Pirates bring summon him for help as well. At least he must have some defensive prowess there. Um, who else is that catcher? Do I recognize any of these names? Maybe Omar Alfonso, Abraham
Yeah,
Gutierrez? Oh,
I forgot about Delay being in that backup battle as well.
yeah. So I don't recognize any of the other names, and it looks like Omar Alfonso, left-handed 22-year-old. So as you know, they're always looking for young guys, man. And yeah, so I still believe in him, but it's the same thing with Bo Naylor. I gotta, I gotta wait. I gotta see it to believe it. And he has fallen so much out of my radar that I didn't even mention him in any of my spreadsheets or in my cheat sheets. So that's all you need to know about him. Let's move on really quickly. I want to finish up here as quickly as possible. Did we talk about we did talk about Robert's team. Did we skip any other teams? We talked about Nyland.
Yep.
We talked about Angel because you forced me to talk about Angel, even though I don't want to. I'm sick of Angel. We talked about Tyler's team, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Randy Arizona thing. JT Realmuto and Gabriel Moreno. That's a pretty good catching duo. See, this is the ideal catching duo. Getting two guys after the 10th round with high skill level and high potential for on base percentage. And JT Realmuto, maybe he'll give you one more season where he can steal a lot of bases too. That's what I'm looking for. Value. Not Cal Raleigh, who's gonna come with like, yeah, 30 home runs and close to 100 RBI. He's gonna mess up your on base percentage and he's gonna strike out a lot, and we penalize for that here. Let's see here. Who else? Who else? We talked about Bob playing it safe. And
hmm
Rahil's the last guy. Oh, Rahil. Okay, let's finish up with Rahil really
Yeah,
quick.
well, we haven't touched on him that much.
Yeah, I like Rahil's draft this year. Let's see. Oh, I love Riley Green. I really do.
I almost took Riley Green as one of my keepers in the Baseball Life League over Semien.
Tariq Skubal and Roki Sasaki as their first two pitchers. I'm not sure if I'm a fan of that. I do,
Me neither.
but then Tanner Bivey. So who's his fourth? Shane McClanahan. Okay, Shane McClanahan has your fourth starting pitcher. Lots of question marks there way too many question marks, especially after getting Tariq Skubal. But maybe that's part of it. Like, well, I got Tariq Skubal, and I could play around with my starting pitcher a little bit. I think he played a little bit too much there. Ronald Acuna. Okay, so what is he gonna do while he waits for Ronald Acuna to get back from injury? Well, Jazz Chisholm at center field, Green in one of the outfield positions, Lars Nootbaar. Okay, Willie Castro. Okay, so yeah, as you can see, he went out of his way to make sure he got the guys like Jake Cronenworth who qualified at multiple positions. I will give him that much credit.
Yeah.
Jorge Soler, I love. Byron Buxton. So yeah, he made up with it with volume at outfield. But when you concentrate on one position, one group of position like that, that means you are deciding that you're gonna be weak at other positions and you're gonna be okay with that. We'll see where that weaknesses are. So uh Francisco Lindor's is shortstop. Christian Walker's his first baseman. I like the Yanier Diaz, but it's interesting to see who he's gonna match up there. For his second catcher, Mason Wynn. Okay, that's his middle infielder. I like Mason Wynn. Okay. Oh, I love Jackson Joby. I forgot to mention him as a starting pitcher, but that's good. Whereas the rest of his infielders, Christian Campbell, that's a working. Oh, Willie Castro. Okay, so not the best infielders, but decent, maybe average. We're waiting to see if Christian Campbell can win a spot. Otherwise, the upside is there. Oh my God, he got another outfielder in Joe Adell. So yeah, a lot of post-hype sleepers, a lot of post-hype prospects there from Raheel. You a fan of that a strategy? You a fan of like, oh, this guy was a highly touted prospect 4 years ago, but I'm gonna get him on my team now and see what happens. You like that idea or no?
It kind of depends on the situation for that prospect, but I'm not too crazy about that idea.
And here's one, Kobe Mayo, who I was targeting a lot of my mock drafts. I was successfully getting him in a lot of mock drafts, and I swung and missed on him in this one. And then Kobe Mayo, recent post-hype prospect. So he was a highly touted prospect last year. This year, people have fallen because he was really awful in his time with the Orioles last season. Raheel says, "Nah, he'll do fine on my team to match up with the other once promising prospects. Like who's a good example? I thought I saw a lot of examples like that on this team. I guess not. Oh, I guess Taj Bradley would be considered one. Joe Adell for sure. Miguel Amaya for sure. Remember, he was a highly touted
I
prospect,
think
the
he's going to be
Cubs
better
catcher.
this year.
Hopefully. So that's the second catcher. So he paired up Yannier
Yeah.
Diaz with Miguel Amaya. Do you like that or no?
Yeah, that's not too bad. I'd probably come off as a homer saying this, but I liked what I saw from Amaya kind of the last couple months of the last season. He got rid of his leg kick and he started to really produce more. And then in the first Tokyo game, I think he got like the first RBI big hit for the Cubs, and probably I think the only big hit for the Cubs in that game
Hmm.
was a double in the gap. So I kind of like his potential with the adjustments he made mechanically.
And then
But we'll
I
see
don't.
how many games he plays,
Yeah.
sharing time with Carson Kelly.
And just like you, I still believe in Amaya. I always, I even spoke highly of him as a very deep sleeper at catcher. For the last 2 years. Like, if you're gonna get a catcher super late, keep an eye on Miguel Amaya. Hopefully, this
Yep.
is the year where he proves me right in that regard. The I like the relievers, the Trevor McGill and I just saw Raisel Iglesias, and then he goes with David Bednar. So, but there's a lot of guys that he picked in this draft that were former highly sought after major leaguers, right? And he's basically trying to become the old Oakland Raiders of this league. Remember the Oakland Raiders? I don't know how much you live in Las Vegas, but the Oakland Raiders had a reputation of getting like the rejects from other teams.
Oh,
And
okay.
and somehow they would get these rejects and Coach John Madden. I think you know who John Madden is at the very least, right?
Yeah.
And Al Davis, they would come in, coach him up and to show him the Raiders way. And they became winners. They had one Super Bowl to show for it, but they were contenders every year. I think that's what our heel's trying to do. This is the scrapyard. When you got to fix your car. I mean, you definitely know about that, right? You got to fix your car. You go to the scrapyard and hope you find the part. Yeah, he got some Jake Cronenworth, and he needs a new crankshaft. So he went after Willie Castro and Lars Nootbaar, Taj Bradley. He needs a new fuel filter. So let's go after Byron Buxton. Maybe doesn't run as well as last time, but I think we can get a few 5,000 miles in him on this new fuel filter. That's how I see Rahil's team.
Yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, that's a good place to stop. I am exhausted. I was hoping to be done by 7:30. I had technical issues, 7:30 Central Time. Technical issues were running rampant earlier in the evening, and then um I thought maybe doing it team by team and making sure that a lot of these guys get their shine would go a lot faster. But it was a really interesting conversation with you, Noah. I do thank you for coming in. I know it was last minute, but thank you for taking that challenge and spending time with me this evening and talking some baseball with me. Any last thoughts from you? You get the last word here.
Don't really have any thoughts, but I just look forward to what this season brings and look forward to see how these what we all talked about and see if that comes to fruition or maybe some things that we thought would happen end up being totally different by September. So
Yeah, absolutely.
excited to see.
And that's why we play the game. If it was easy, if it was easy, I don't think it would be as satisfying, but that's part of the allure. Like, do these predictions that we're making in March, will they come true in September? And just like baseball, man, even the best fantasy experts out there will tell you that we get more wrong than we get right. But that's baseball in a nutshell. You get rewarded very handsomely for being able to hit the ball 30% of the time. Hitters do. Their job is to get out 70% of the time and be lucky enough to get to 30% of the time. Fantasy experts will tell you the same thing. Like if we get more wrong than we do get right, but we do it because it's thrilling, right? We talk eternally about hope springs eternal in hot stove baseball because we believe that if if the most optimistic outlook happens, our fantasy leagues will be good, our favorite players will be good, our favorite teams will be good, and that's what it's about. After a cold, long-lasting winter, we can see the light at the end of the tunnel. Baseball's coming in. The air feels different. The aura feels different. And this is what it's all about. This is what I look forward every single year. Not you've been a part of it for like the last 3 seasons or so, right? So thereabouts 2 seasons maybe.
Yeah.
So this is what it's all about, and I'm glad that you were able to come in and talk to me about it. And I think there's something to what you just said. We'll see if it comes to fruition, but that's part of the fun, right? So anyway, I blabber too much. For Noah, thank you so much, Noah from Las Vegas. I
Yeah,
am
no problem.
Felipe from the Chicagoland area on a very cold and dreary day. Glad to talk some baseball with you. We'll talk to everybody else soon. Take care, everybody.